for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening. Tonight's agenda, we're reviewing budgets for the moderator, elections, government buildings, town offices, animal control discussion, and 2020 road improvement discussions. Any opening remarks? Anything happening? You have the budgets?
Yep, that's the moderator's budget. Bob said he's gonna be here, but that was yesterday. Okay.
Bobby, you got them on for 6:30, so we've got 20 minutes to. Unless, why don't we do a little juggling here and get to the town office budgets first?
So, actually, I do have this I wanted to give you as well. This is the calendar of events leading into 2020 meeting.
Okay, yeah.
So I just wanted to share that with you so you're aware of
Due dates.
due dates for things.
So we're gonna have Friday, January the 10th. Last day, last for voters to petition select board. And last day for going to vote to extend polling hours. I decided, this is long. So by January 14th, we have to have a warrant article for police station. Okay. Can we jump, you have anything else, or can we jump to the town office budgets while we wait for Bob?
Sure, we can do that. Do you want the general building as well?
Well, we'll do one at a time. Let's do the town office budget.
Okay.
Thank you. We have backup for this?
I do. At least in general terms, I mean, most of it has, other than the wages, we've got the the information for the insurance now that we settled on Harvard Pilgrim. So the, health, dental, life insurance is pretty much set at this point. The education and training, we had 400 in there last year. I'm asking for 800 this year. There is a annual meeting that Primex holds, typically up at the Mount Washington Hotel. So it is 2 nights of overnight stay that generally run, even with the Primex discount, about $200 a night. It's generally a good seminar, goes over a lot of the risk management aspects, as well as other municipal related activities. And I'd like to include that in the budget this year.
Gonna continue going down or up?
Sure.
Salaries, you kind of.
Yep. All right, so salaries, so what I'm asking for is an increase to $80,000. When I was hired, it was discussed at that time that we couldn't do anything about the $65,000 starting salary until budget season. So budget season is here. And basically looking at what other towns in the area are currently paying their town administrators, that the $80,000 is actually probably at the lower end. We have Ashburn, Hand next door in Mass. Their position pays $110,000 to $115,000. Jaffrey, which is about the same size as ours, is paying over $100,000. Wilton, where I came from, had I stayed there, I would have been making about $87,000 this year. The current office holder is making $84,000. And based on similar sized towns in this general geography, I think that pretty much any town our size or above in New Hampshire is starting people at $75,000.
I think that's quite a jump. I know we spoke when we hired you, saying that we would have to wait, but to go from 65 to 80, I don't know what the other selectmen feel, but I think that's too much to incur at one time.
So, I mean, the other thing that I'll point out is right now, where I am, there are actually 2 people making more than the town administrator. So we have a mid-level manager making more than me, and the police chief is making more than me.
Who's the other mid?
That's the lieutenant.
I think an increase is in order, but I agree with you. I think the jump to 80 is a lot, but I have a number in my head that I'm willing to throw out, but I do understand completely where you're coming from, and I don't have a problem putting a increase in there.
Well, I've said all along that I thought we were underpaying the town administrator. I'm thinking, that again, you're just getting involved in your duties and starting to learn the ropes around here. I'm thinking something around 75 this year with a rediscussion next year.
I was around 72, 73. That'd be a $7,000 to $8,000 increase. Because I mean, I don't want to put us at a level where we have you hit a ceiling too quick too. And I agree with Bert. I mean, it's new. I think your level of work is more than exemplary. So don't take that. That's not. But I do think just a jump of that amount is a lot. David, did you have a number that you were?
I did. It was lower than yours. I was thinking a $5,000 increase. Because that's even, I think, what I had mentioned at our meeting. I just tried to factor in what the 3% merit would have added to that, which would have been 2,100. So I could go with the 72. If that works. But I can't see an 80, that's a $15,000 jump. We can compare to towns. I'm sure if I went to other towns, I could do the opposite, and that's not what I want to do. I want to make sure that what we're paying is a fair or better, not just fair, meaning, I don't mean it in a level range, but fair wage.
I still think 75 is appropriate. You know, basically, and I'm going to be blunt, that, you know, Scott has proved to be an exceptional administrator. He's getting a handle on a lot of things that have been left on the table. He's starting to clean up the messes that have been left behind for years and years. And quite honestly, if we do not provide him the compensation that he deserves, he'll be gone in 2 years, to be blunt about it.
Is that your intent?
I'm not going to speak for his intent.
But you just said it is, so I'm asking.
No, I am not speaking for him. I am
Okay.
speaking from experience that if you want to hold on to talent, you need to pay for it. I think 75 is appropriate for starters, with a rediscussion next year for another 5.
I'd like more time to research this then. We think.
I completely. I also agree with Bert. I don't want to see us go through all this stuff over again and lose someone that has talent. But I do agree that a $15,000 jump is a lot in 1 year. I'm willing to go to 73 at this time, but if so, kind of in between where we were and where Bert was.
So here's a salary survey that was done by MRI. I don't know if you're familiar with MRI.
Mm-hmm.
And this covers about, looks like about 15 towns. And they have scales here. And about the lowest one I see here is Hooksett, which is paying probably about a little bit, maybe a little higher than what I'm making, or about the same. So they're starting at $31.44 an hour. The other towns are in the 40s, 50s, and 60s an hour. And this is Wyndham, Bedford, Derry, Durham, Exeter, Goffstown, Hampstead, Hampton, Hollis, Hooksett, Hudson, Litchfield, Londonderry, Merrimack, Newmarket, Pelham, Plastow, Salem. You know, some of these are larger communities.
Yeah.
Those are the ones that are paying $60 and $70 an hour. And this was done in June of 2019, this salary study. So that's what municipal governments in southern New Hampshire are paying. And granted, they're not New Ipswich. And when I asked for my number, you know, quite frankly, I had an even higher number in mind. But I was certainly sensitive to some of the fiscal policies in New Ipswich, and that's how I arrived at mine.
Yeah.
So, you know, as I said, I mean, typically the town administrator is the highest paid employee in the town. And at this point, I've got two people making more than me, and even with the adjustment we're talking about, it's still gonna be close.
But that hasn't been our history here. So that's, and I don't think it's
And I appreciate
comparable.
that.
It should be based on, you know, town administrator positions.
So,
So whereas we just got this last night and never had a discussion, I'd like more time to do my homework.
okay.
Scott, maybe you can answer this question down a couple line items. We have a life insurance policy. Who's that for? Is that for you or?
It's actually for me and Roger, I believe.
Or it's any employee that wants to.
I mean, it's,
Yeah.
it seems like it's a minimal amount.
It is.
It is.
Yep.
It's a small policy. It's $25,000. That's all we offer.
All right.
And, you know, not enough to bury you.
We have a backhoe. We can do it cheaper.
Scott, going back on the education, the Primex is for HR? What is it that they?
So it's a variety of different things around management, risk management. I actually should have printed out the agenda from last year's meeting. But they go over mostly management type skills. So a lot of it is human resource and related, but also risk management related with regards to, you know, property liability.
And I have no qualms with it, but I'm just wondering, is there any difference between that and just calling them up, what we get
Well,
from the LGC? Totally different?
It's a more intensive program, for
Okay.
sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Record storage, I see that's been cut down to $1, which.
Well, the
what's your-
honestly, the $300 in there is much like the 1,750 that was in Jessica's budget, it doesn't buy you anything without, as far as records management goes. I would, we didn't use any this year, and I would rather keep it as a placeholder until we have a more comprehensive plan on what we're gonna do in that area.
Okay.
Certainly, I think if you look at every department, if you go down to the basement and take a look at the way files are stored down there, we really need, honestly, to form a records management committee, which is actually required by RSA. And I think we should start an effort with the employees first to take a look at what we have before we start looking to contract out. I think there's a lot of things we could do ourselves, but it takes time to do it. But I think it's gonna be a lot more cost effective for the employees to do as much of that effort as possible and then decide where we need to go. If it looks like it's gonna be a job bigger than we can all digest, then we can look to hire a firm to help us purge and or digitize some of the files down there. But that can be, honestly, that can end up being tens of thousands of dollars if you want to do the whole process, so to speak, and digitize things. And I think there's a lot we need to clean up first on our own before we can even present somebody with an organized approach. We don't want to be wasting money having a company doing our simple housekeeping for us.
That kind of brings the question, is there any sort of plan or progress or to actually tackle that particular job organization?
So, well, that actually gets back up to the second line item in the budget, because I've asked for an increase in hours for Lori and Debbie to 31 from 28, and honestly, Lori is averaging almost 31 as it is. Debbie, for her planning board assessors role, is probably averaging about 28 or a little below 28. But her year was complicated by the fact that she filled in a lot for the town clerk. When you factor those hours in, she was actually in the 34 to 35 hour a week time frame. But by helping out the town clerk's office, it was taking away from her ability to get other things done. There are quite a few projects here that, let's see if I got a list here. So these are just some of the most obvious things that
together the town office budget that we're gonna review at 8 o'clock? Is that
No, we're
what's-
doing that now because
Had some spare time.
that's the decision we made.
It's not with the schedules.
We're flexible.
Scott, just as a rhetorical question,
mm-hmm.
I see we're spending, right around $80,000 for, I assume
Right.
that's Debbie and Lori.
And Roger.
And Roger's included in that.
Right.
What would it cost us extra, including or roughly, including the associated benefits, to bring Lori and Debbie on full-time.
So I don't necessarily have the benefits number, because I don't know whether they would both take benefits if they went to 40 hours or over, 32 or higher. I think Laurie might take advantage of the healthcare, which would, roughly add, we're picking up 85% of that. That would probably add about $8,500, thereabouts, probably less than that, but about $8,500 in additional benefits for her if we went to 40 hours. I think there's plenty of work to do for 40, but again, the reason I proposed 31 is just to keep it under that benefits threshold. But I think there's plenty of work to do there, and honestly, there are some responsibilities that I'd like to shift around between Debbie, Lori, and Roger, because we have both of them doing some more financial accounting related work that I think should probably be moved over to Roger, like managing the WEX gas cards, for example. Why Debbie's doing that and not Roger, I'm not sure, but that's something I'd like to move over to Roger. And honestly, I think that on the human resource and healthcare side, I would actually like to put that type of activity in Lori's hands. I think she is
Which activity is that?
dealing with employee benefits. In other words, she would be the interface to for the employees as far as handling their medical benefits and other benefits. I think she's a better suited person for that role, and we have other responsibilities we can shift to Roger that are more accounting and financial related.
Well, one of the concerns I have is the amount of time you spend during the course of the week writing up the selectmen's minutes. I just feel from the number of hours you spend on it, there's much better uses for your time.
There is, and certainly, I think that, either Laurie or Debbie with additional hours might be able to take that on. But that's not something that I necessarily had in mind, but it's certainly something we could do. I mean, I certainly wouldn't object to not spending, 3 hours a week, doing minutes. I think those are things that are open for discussion and trying to balance the workloads.
Well, if you could find a way to do it effectively and efficiently, that would be great.
So in any case, the budget as presented is also based on, I believe, that, Roger, Laurie, and Debbie are also not competitively paid based on what I'm seeing. When I look at other towns, the ranges for those types of positions range from $19 to $24 an hour. And I believe that the three of them need to be adjusted to $20 an hour, regardless of whether they're 40 hours, 31 hours, 28 hours. Right now, all of them, I believe, are underpaid and honestly not that much above McDonald's salary rates, and for what they do and the knowledge that they possess and the professionalism that they display in doing their roles. Just looking at other towns in the area, and I've got a half a dozen of them that we looked at for similar type positions in the, whether you want to look at it as secretarial, administrative, they're all in that $19 to $24 an hour range. When you get into something, honestly, at a higher professional level which I believe Laurie and Debbie really are, then you're really more in the, the $22 to $27 range. My wife does their job in 2 other towns. She does it for Greenville, and she does it for Amherst. And even in small Greenville, she's getting in excess of $20 an hour to do the job that we're paying Lori and Debbie in the teens for. And I don't think it's competitive, and honestly, I don't think that we're gonna be able to retain both of them if we don't make some sort of adjustment there. There are local towns, Ringe, for example, has an opening right now that I think that they could jump to for 20 or more an hour, for 25 hours a week.
Okay, Scott, I'm gonna have to interrupt you because we're going over, and I've got things that you're commenting on that I'd like to address first. First of all, we've asked all the department heads to give us backup for how they've arrived at this. We have nothing here. I'd like to ask you to, you give us the backup for how you've arrived at this budget so that we can have time to review it. My second comment is that if we're looking at, needing additional assistance in the office, why would we be looking to try and delegate more responsibilities and increased hours to those individuals that are here versus just bringing someone on to focus on the tasks at hand that you need, rather than trying to give Laurie HR or whatever, keep that under the administrator. If you need assistance with secretarial or financial or whatever, let's see what those areas are and then target an individual for those.
So the problem with that, David, is to find somebody to fill, you know, an 8-hour-a-week slot is virtually impossible. Nobody is going to take a job for 8 hours a week. And especially depending on how we want to utilize them, it may not be a straight 8 hours. We might be splitting it up, you know, 4 and 4 or some other way. It makes a lot more sense to increase the hours of the people that are already here. And we can certainly, at 31 hours each, we keep both of them under the limit to be eligible for benefits. So we're not triggering another huge expense there.
We just recommended that they do have hours increased and get benefits.
No, he did not recommend that.
No, he kept it on, he
No,
went up to
Bert?
31 hours rather than 32.
I heard that discussion, but you were discussing, you know, for example, if Lori took.
Yeah, that's because
Well, Bert
Bert
asked
asked him.
if one of them became full-time, what the financial impact would be.
So this budget does not include that possibility? I mean, it's
It does not.
33% on clerical assistant.
Right, that,
What do you
'Cause
mean
it's-
it doesn't include?
it doesn't
Yeah,
include the,
Doesn't
He's
include them going full-time with benefits.
Not to full-time, it
Right.
included the increase in hours and increase in wages.
33%?
mm-hmm.
That's why I'd like to see how things are being generated, just so that we can have an understanding. And Scott, I'm not, like, your calculation for Debbie and Laurie was to increase 8 hours, but I'd rather have the discussion with you to say, well, what is it that we need to get covered? And it may be an individual with more than 8 hours. That's all I'm, you know, when we start doing it, when we started with the land use, the hours were much less, and then it creeped up, and I'm wondering, are we divesting the responsibilities too broadly? And where there are things that we've discussed on the financial management end of things, is whether that shouldn't be something to look at.
And, I mean, I'm not trying, and, I mean, then the other thing is, we were told that we just approved a budget for the land use so that we could give an extra hour a day of time to Debbie that she's been spending doing research for people that they'll now be able to do research online for. So,
Correct, and that's why, yeah, honestly, as I said, based on what their average hours are currently,
mhm.
we, even at 31 hours, you know, I think that them finding ways to be more productive allows them to attack other projects on that list and other things that aren't getting done that we're not in compliance with. You know, right now, for example, you know, our current use files are not up to date. We would not pass a state audit, but it requires somebody's attention. I mean, the files in those two offices are not well organized, and it takes time to do that. You have two people that are willing to
But why
tackle it.
aren't they organized? That's, I need
So
to
they're-
understand
so
specifics.
the reason they are is because their predecessors left them with you know, a disorganized environment. And in fact, you know, as Laurie has pointed out, when she first got here, and then originally she was hired to be the receptionist and kind of the webmaster, she ended up doing the building, other things got piled on. When she first started, that stuff was done manually. I mean, the building permits were written out in a ledger instead of done on a computer or put in a spreadsheet. So I think you have two people that are looking for ways to improve things and be innovative and use technology, but they need time to be able to tackle those things. Right now, they have their hands full on a day-to-day basis just servicing the people that walk through the door and the people on the other end of the phone that call. They don't have the luxury, they pick at things, you know, they start things, but they can't have a focused effort to get a lot of things done, not to mention what's downstairs. I mean, they said downstairs is, you know, we don't have a good grip on our land use files. You know, we had a situation today that I was working with Kim on, the health officer on a property, needed septic information on a property. There's nothing in the file. Whether it's somewhere else in this building for that particular lot, we don't know, because not everything is together in one spot. And that's something that takes time. It takes time for somebody, and it has to be somebody knowledgeable enough to understand the implication of the piece of paper they're holding in their hand, whether it's something that needs to be retained and put in a property file or not. The other thing that you know, they want to start doing, and Avatar has some capability that Debbie has started utilizing, is to start uploading a lot of these documents electronically to a property file, and that's kind of where we want to go, is to have all this information. But that takes effort. That, you know, it's, you know, she's kind of doing it as the opportunity on a piece of property comes up, but going back and addressing the rest takes time. And you know, that's where I think that they have a lot of frustration, because they're trying to make their job more efficient. They're trying to be more responsive to the requests that they receive, whether it's from one of their boards or commissions or committees, or it's you know, somebody from the public that's coming in looking for the information. And you know, things are taking a lot longer to do than they should, and they understand that. But they also understand that they, you know, they have a job to do when the, you know, when the doors open, so to speak, but they don't really have hours that they can devote to go do other things. And all of this just keeps piling up. It doesn't go away. It just kind of manifests itself into a bigger problem if we don't start addressing some of these things.
But specifically, you raised the issue of, today as an example, of somebody, the health officer coming in looking for a septic plan.
Right.
A, do we know that we even have that septic
We
plan?
don't know.
B, should we have it? C, what was the purpose? Is it something that a septic system had failed? That
Suspected it failed.
having the plan in hand or not should be addressed with the owner, that your system's failed. We don't need to have that plan. The system has failed. It's the owner's obligation to get it corrected. So do we spend too much time chasing information that may or may not be
So
there?
when another town official, being our health agent,
Yeah.
comes in and asks for documentation,
Yeah.
they're trying to fulfill that request. I mean, I mean, do I just tell Kim just to go back and approach the property owner for it? I mean, I think the property owner, most property owners expect that we have it in our file. They don't necessarily have it in their file. They expect it to be retained in public records. And we get requests all the time from homeowners that are looking for information on their property, or potential buyers, they're looking to purchase a property in town, and they're looking for information on the well, on the septic system, et cetera, before they make a purchase. And that's part of what we do as town offices, is to provide a public service and give people access to those records that they expect us to have. We can't always just push people off. You know, we have a responsibility, I think, as a community, to be able to provide at least a basic level of service. And I don't even know that in some cases we're capable of doing that, or doing that as effectively or as efficiently as we could, if we had enough focus and enough manpower to straighten these out. And it takes time.
But why would an applicant or a resident not be directed to the state, where the state is the one that issues the permits, has the documents, has the well information? We don't do any inspections at all as a town on septic systems, so we're not responsible for that.
But we are the local authority, and people would expect that we would have it in their property file. And again, we have a health officer that is trying to do her job, and she would like to have, you know, the information available to assist her in doing her job as well. So by not having this information readily available, we're actually making it difficult for our own employees, our own town officials, to be able to effectively do their job, because now they have to go chase something that should have been at our fingertips. And eventually, our goal is, you know, between the building software that we're looking at and some of the other things that we're looking at, is to be able to get this to a point where all of this is gonna be at somebody's fingertips in a database. And in fact, the goal is for some of these requests, because they're not gonna have to ask us at all, they're gonna be able to go online to the town's website and retrieve the information on their property by themselves.
But not without significant effort.
So,
And cost,
And cost. Well, effort equals cost.
yes.
well, the tools we've already discussed, I think.
But wait, the tool is one thing, and as you pointed out quite adequately, that we have to be able to digitize a lot of information, and we don't even know where half of that information might be. At least that's what I heard.
Correct.
Okay. So, at the end of the day, the question becomes, you said a couple of things, the town people expect. Well, I'm not sure of that, but, you know, I didn't realize, for example, that our septic plans were only approved by the state. That's just me learning. But in that context then, the right place to go, to David's point, at least with respect to septic, is if that's the governing body, then that's where people should go. To duplicate what they already do doesn't make a lot of sense at cost. However, if there are elements to what should be in the property information which are the domain of and the responsibility of the town, I would fully agree with you. But to do more than what we have doesn't make a lot of sense to me. But to do what we have to do makes sense.
Why not?
Because things like septic, if they're
Service
approved,
to the
excuse me,
community.
you asked a question, I'd like to answer it. The answer is, if the state is the governing body, go to the state for the septic plans. That's where it is. It's not something I
So
decide.
we issue building permits, correct?
We do.
Hold on, let me
Yeah, let
finish my whole
Yeah,
thing. But to get an occupancy permit, they have to have, the septic has to be approved, correct?
correct.
No,
No, hold on, but by the state.
Yeah,
So,
even before they get the building permit,
okay, so they have to submit that to get the building permit?
correct.
So shouldn't we have it on file?
No,
Just throwing it out there.
I'm just trying to educate you.
No, it becomes a balancing act between us trying to serve the public to the best of our ability, but having limited funds and manpower to do so.
sure. Unless you wanna put a warrant article out there that says, we're gonna provide the following service, it'll have the X amount of cost, put it in front of the voters, I don't see how else you can validate.
Yeah, we have limited storage area, we have limited management of the files, and we have limited budget to do all that stuff with, so we do the best we can.
I agree. However, then, you know, I wanna differentiate between a specific instance called the septic system versus digitizing, I'll just change the word, digitizing the information that we do have and are responsible for. I do think that has merit. I do think we ought to be doing that for the reason, for example, of storage space. I mean, I went to look at some old road information, And according to the state, the town of New Ipswich keeps their old road information in some quote file cabinet.
God bless.
That's all it says, doesn't even tell you which file cabinet. So, again, I apologize, I'm not familiar with the line item, perhaps it's a line item on your budget that we're debating, and I don't have that in front of me, unfortunately, I didn't have time to make prints. But I think there is a scope of what you're asking for, Scott, that makes a lot of sense to me. There's a scope, there's an element of it which I think maybe you're overreaching.
So David, back to your other question, as
Do you
far.
happen to have a copy of the budget request? I apologize. The first time I didn't come prepared.
Is there any chance we can swap to the moderator budget, Matt, and get them out of here? Because this is, we're still on line 2.
Well, some of the other stuff is quick. We can't really argue some of it. No, my only point is, beyond the requests in hours, I think the automatic jump in pay for some of them is not warranted. I'm not saying for all of them. I'm saying for some of them. Only because in some areas we've had consistent issues and asking for improvement that I don't think has warranted some of that.
So I guess my recommendation would be to separate the individual from the position.
I'm allowed to use it?
So you have to look at the position and what this position, or these positions pay in other communities. If you have another issue with the person that's in the position, that could be handled another way. And certainly isn't open for discussion in a public meeting.
All right, but I thought we already talked about this one here, and it was put to bed. We're gonna get the
research.
backup.
Yeah.
Well, you're gonna provide us the
here's-
backup
so
for,
Here's the backup. I've got, so both of these positions, if you want to talk about accountant, bookkeeper, payroll, multiple towns, a study that was done by the New Hampshire Occupational Employment and Wages Division for 2019, and these all basically fall into the same category. I've got Milford, I've got Wilton, I've got Peterborough.
but Scott, not to interrupt you, we haven't seen any of that. Can you package it, put it to go out, and then we can look at it and understand it rather than trying to understand it within a meeting's time frame? It's short and it's a substantial increase. We can come back and review it again. I just am not, myself personally, ready to try and understand backup that I haven't seen yet. And rather than making a short decision, I think it'd be better to have time to review it and make notes and then come back and have further discussion.
I'm fine with that. Because I don't want to dismiss it, and I don't want to make a quick decision. Because I feel that you have made some very good points, but I would like to be able to look at the stuff, and I don't want to dismiss you off and go. Well, so I'd like to look at it as well.
Okay, that's fine. We do need to come back to it.
Yes.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Oh, yes.
I'm a little concerned about the size of the towns and the budgets that they have and the size of their departments.
So some of these towns are larger, some of these towns are smaller. All right, Greenville, Wilton, these are smaller towns,
How large is Wilton?
3,700.
Really? I always assumed it was like. One quick point on your document issues. There was an effort underway, something like 10 years ago, to scan the documents in the basement. Somebody was doing it on a regular basis for some period of time. I have no idea what happened to all that. You don't recall?
I don't recall that.
I think that was town clerk, tax collector stuff was being done. That's a different
But scanned digitally?
I thought she was
So
taking
sure.
care, but
But there was
I
an
don't know.
effort under the way, and that should be looked into to see
Like I
what it
said,
was. And
yeah. I don't
why
remember
did-
here.
Why
I-
did it fail, if it failed, or whatever
I'm
happened.
thinking if it got scanned, it would have been on the town's server.
You would think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know where else it would have been scanned
There
to.
was somebody scanning in the documents in the basement.
And I don't
It was
know how
was
they
a
could have
good
done
10
that
years
without it being just 8.5 by 11s, because we don't have, and 10 years ago, I don't think we had, I'd almost guarantee we didn't have the resources to scan.
It wasn't someone in the office, someone was brought in to do that.
Brought in though, you mean
Brought
like a
in-
company?
Yes, well, I don't know if it was a company or volunteer or it's.
But we
it's
would have needed a
hazy.
scanner,
Right.
and we didn't have like the scanner
well,
we
I
have
mean, I
now.
bought a scanner today, it cost me $100.
Okay,
Yeah.
but when you're scanning a lot of documents,
Right.
like our printer is
You
a
want something
scanner.
you can feed.
Yeah.
Right,
feed
and,
to it.
and have, yeah, and all I can think of is having worked at a bank where I had to scan lots and lots of documents. There's a system you have to use, and it's got a barcode, so that when you put it in, otherwise you're just scanning, and you're literally scanning in one page at a time, and then you have to go back and sort those pages. I mean, that,
This was a plan.
it didn't sound like a good one.
And so on a server somewhere is
Yeah.
everything we know.
Yeah,
But I was in tech at the time, and I remember I was interested in what they were doing. That's the only reason I remember it.
Mm-hmm.
And it was going on here, and it was documents from downstairs. I'm just saying, somebody knows. Joanne? No, I don't know if she'd
See, the
remember.
documents we have downstairs that I'm aware of are mainly drawings or ledgers, and I don't know how
The
you'd
idea
ever.
was to digitize.
Yeah,
so we're gonna come back to the town office next week?
I would.
We're not here next 2 weeks.
Okay, so,
We're not back till
Yeah.
January 7th.
okay.
But, you know, before we move on, I understand that you would like to have backup. You hired me as the chief executive for your town. And as such, I've done the research and I'm telling you what my findings are. And yet I get the sense that you don't trust my interpretation of the data and that you want to look at it yourself. So I'm a little put off by that, I have to be honest with you. But as I stated, you know, the 3 positions that I have up for grabs, and I'm happy to provide the documentation. You know, the general range for those in towns in this general area, bigger and smaller. You know, Jaffrey, Milford, Wilton, Greenville, et cetera. You know, they're all paying in that, you know, 19 to 24 range for those 3 positions. And again, I urge you to, when you're looking at those numbers, you need to look at the position, not necessarily the person in the position. And because if you have an issue with the person that's in the position, in some cases, then that's another discussion at another time. But I think you have to look at the position and what other communities are paying for that position. And in order to be competitive, I think I believe these adjustments are warranted.
No,
The other thing I'll bring up is if you read the newspaper last week, the Ledger, there was an article in there about some of the experiences that the town of Temple just had with hiring police officers and DPW people, and they realized that they weren't being competitive because they lost people. They had a DPW person that they hired, and they lost in 2 weeks because they were being lured away by another town for more money. We have a great economy. New Hampshire is blessed with a 2% or 2.5% unemployment rate. Towns are competing for resources and competing for people. It's especially problematic in police departments right now, where they're hiring people away for $4 and $5 more an hour than what we're paying some of our officers, and giving them $5,000 and $10,000 signing bonuses on top of that. So I think we need to just be aware of what's happening in the world around us and what's happening in southern New Hampshire as far as talent and being able to retain talent.
No, I understand that, on the same piece, what I have to look at is, there's a range. There could be a range in a position, but at the same point, you pay based on experience and the amount of work someone might have to do. And, it's one of those pieces, they may say that their current person is getting paid $24 an hour, but their current person could have been there for 12, 15 years.
Right. And that's why I'm giving you a range. So there's the low end of the range for people that may only have a couple of years of experience or even entry level, versus the mid to high end of the range, which would be, in the $22 to $24 an hour segment for somebody that's been there for, 4, 5, 6+ years. And so I'm asking basically for the lower end of the range for all these positions for what we're seeing in the general area. And we can talk about population and size of towns, et cetera. It doesn't really matter. The position is the position, whether the town has 10,000 people or 5,000 people. If the position is open and you have a qualified person that can go and do the same job in another town, and make $2, $3, $4, $5, $6 an hour more than what we're paying them, why would you expect them to stay? Other than loyalty to the town. And loyalty to the town, I think, is the only reason that has kept some people in the positions that they're in today. But at some point, they have to look at their families and what they have to do to provide for their families, and are gonna make decisions that are financially wise for them. And honestly, as I look at area towns, New Ipswich is behind the curve. It's great to save money, but if you can't retain people in a 2% unemployment environment, it's not easy to replace people. Look at the help wanted signs everywhere. There are thousands of positions available in the state that can't be filled. So to lose somebody and try to backfill them is going to be a long, long process. And Tim went through that with the police department. You can advertise a position but if there's no takers, then you have to start increasing what you pay and hope to lure somebody away from another town, and you are going to pay for that privilege. And that's just the world we live in.
And Scott, I can understand that, but, and I agree with you that, we're looking for you to provide us with the information, but we need the opportunity to see it so that we can understand it. I can't, myself personally, just say carte blanche, let it go.
And I appreciate that.
Okay.
I appreciate that. But I want to give you another example before we move on of, kind of where we stand. When we had the welfare director in here, a month or so ago doing the budget review, she ended up walking out of here a little frustrated because ultimately she was going to get the equivalent of about $13 an hour. She showed me the contract that she has with Jaffrey, same size town as us. They're paying her over $21 an hour to do the same job she's doing for us for 13. And, when I look at that, you have to wonder how competitive we're really being and how we're going to retain that person much longer, because there are other towns, and she stated there are other towns that she can get similar deals to Jaffrey and go spend time there rather than stay here for $13 an hour. And I think that is somewhat the sentiment of some of the other employees that I'm hearing, and I'm just giving you a heads up on it.
So we'll come back to this one, jump to the moderator.
Yes.
When is the town budget hearing?
Has not been scheduled.
Okay.
We're not through the budget process
I
yet.
understand that. I didn't know if you had a date that you were.
There is a date on
being forced
these.
up to.
Yes.
Yes, there
Yes,
is.
there is a date we're being forced up to.
Thank you.
I would say The last day we can hold a public hearing on the annual budget is January 21st.
Not late, well,
Do you have one for elections also?
okay.
Third
Town
Tuesday.
meeting's about 2 weeks later, then, right?
What's that?
The town meeting, the deliberative session's about 2 weeks later.
Third Tuesday.
Supervisors.
Thank you, sir.
Do we have any additional elections this year than what we had last year?
Yes.
We have the presidential elections.
Yeah, we have a primary.
We have
Oh,
four.
yeah, I forgot about that one.
We have the presidential primary February 11th. We have the town election in March. We have a state primary for Senate and governor in September. And then we have the federal election in November.
So we had 4 this year.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You haven't seen the signs?
I have, but I don't count how many we have.
Are you up for election? That's probably why he doesn't care.
I am.
No, he's
No,
not.
I'm
He's-
not.
No, he's not.
I've got another year yet.
Unless you're impeached.
Do we have an impeachment?
Can you start?
Yeah, I was about to say, could you start
Can
one
you
now?
start
That'd be
the
awesome.
process now?
Yeah, I volunteered. Sign me up.
Actually, can
I'll tell you all the things I did.
We didn't
You're not the first.
we did not perambulate the town boundaries.
Yeah.
That's the one I know you can.
It's been done before, sorry.
Yeah.
Anything you'd like to share with us on the budget?
It has been confirmed that the training cost will be $130 for next year. We just signed up for myself to attend the training in early January, so we know the price and that, so that's set. The mileage amount, which is $125 carried over. I have not put in for all the mileage that I have, run up throughout the year.
His is mandatory travel. Not train.
I was just waiting.
His is mandatory travel. He actually has
You
to.
both. I was
yeah.
sitting here just
No,
waiting for it.
his is mandatory. He has to go to meetings in Concord as a moderator.
Yeah, we were jumping all over that one.
No, I saw it. I'm sure I knew one of you was going to say it. Yeah.
We do carpool when we can, so we can send 2 cars to the same event. The only suggestion I have in here is that you adjust the stipends a few dollars, and that hasn't been done in quite a while. I don't know if that's a townwide exercise, but I thought I'd take my stab at measuring up a little bit. I am up for reelection, so that's not a guaranteed number for me. I have to go.
You want $10 more?
I'm just trying to,
What's that percentage?
2.5.
Point oh
I was gonna say, definitely in the fraction.
Why don't we make it an even 500 and be done with it?
No. Is
What's the budget?
yeah. Is Mr. Somro retaining as vice, or is he up for election again?
He's appointed, so.
He's
Yeah.
appointed.
Yeah, so he's gonna continue until someone steps forward to, wanna take that position on,
Which position?
assistant moderator.
I have no problem with the budget as presented.
It's fine.
Okay.
Done.
Do you guys have one of these?
Election
Not
procedure.
for,
Is that last year's?
I have, this is the current one.
Oh.
It says 1890.
This is the
Yeah,
current one.
they don't change the rules that
But I
much.
guess-
They'll publish a new one sometime in spring.
thank you.
Notice we have trouble falling asleep in
Every night.
I know you just because we're moving on to it. How close are we on that deadline for our ballot machine's not working anymore.
So the machines will stop working. When the machines stop working, we have a maintenance agreement.
No, but I thought they were changing something
The
that,
state has been evaluating new machines, and they decided not to make a change during this election cycle.
okay.
If we were to go out and buy a machine, if there was a recommendation, we were to buy one on a one-of basis, it would be about $5,000. But they believe when they make the change, there will be many people in the state, so there'll be a bulk buy, which would probably be less than that amount.
I just
But it's
remember,
up to the
yeah.
ballot commission to make that determination, and they haven't indicated any
Okay.
timeline for that.
I just knew you had warned us about it a few years ago that they were discussing it, so figured I'd ask.
I
It's
don't
news
know
to me.
whose budget it goes on, because the selectmen are supposed to provide that, so.
Okay, so,
We'll put it in your budget. What is it
Whenever
that,
I try to put something in the selectmen's budget, it bounces out, so.
I know.
well, you know, we try and keep it where it should
Since I know
go.
we've got maintenance and repair in our budget.
What kind of machine would they be looking at? Like,
So right now, the machines we have are 1980,
Yeah.
1990s technology, and they don't have spares. I mean, they're cannibalizing machines that get turned in. So it would be newer technology, it would be more secure, and it would have more capacity. So the machines that we have today, we have to empty them out every so many hundreds of ballots. The new machines would hold more, be more accurate, and in some cases, some of the machines would actually show you a picture of the ballot, so that when you go to look at it, you wouldn't have to go find the ballot in question. You could actually look at an image of the ballot and make a determination as to what the voter intent was.
so it's still with a paper ballot and a machine that counts
That's
it?
correct, yeah.
Okay.
It's a 2.0 version of what we have, but it has encryption and other good things included in it.
So the Russians can't hack it.
It would be really hard, because now they're gonna have, instead of one chip in there, they're gonna be 2 chips in there. And if the chips don't agree, the thing shuts down. So, yeah, it's a more secure
Yeah, yeah.
What could
technology.
possibly go wrong?
Yeah. Thanks, Bob.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks very much.
Barbara?
Okay, I see a couple of you, I don't know, so I think this is your first round here with
My
this.
first
No,
time
no,
on the
no.
budget.
I'm Jeff McCabe, how you doing?
Hi, I'm Barbara Graham.
Hi, Barbara, I'm Jack Lowe.
Nice to meet you. Okay, the first thing I'm gonna tell you is don't look at last year and this year and say, my goodness, why is it worse? It's worse, or it's more, because we have 4 elections this year as opposed to 1 last year. We have a lot more interest in presidential primaries and general presidential elections than we do in the town election. So that's why the numbers are pretty much bounced up. I think the third page, or the second page of the backup anyway, gives you the actuals for the last 4 years. And I should have put what we're asking for this year here, but the 2016 election is really the comparable one.
Was the
Which is the
printing,
second column.
I'm sorry.
Looks like this,
Yeah, I didn't, for some reason, I don't have that, so.
yeah, okay.
Quick question on the printing, was that because of the police station?
No.
No?
No, why, what are you asking about?
Just this year's budget of $1,700, but you went over budget this year, $2,300.
What happens there is, and I honestly don't understand the whole thing, but we order ballots, we only pay for our town ballots, the state pays for the others. But sometimes they send us more than I think we need. And I think that's what happened there, either that or there was just a jump in the price of the ballots. I don't do the ordering.
And because we're having 4 elections, it sounds like most of them we don't have to pay for the ballot.
That's right, it's,
Your
all
budget
we
was
pay
changed.
for is the town ballot.
Okay.
That's a good point, Barbara. Should we increase the printing to 2,400, whereas 2019 was 2,361?
Well, I was looking at the printing for the last, I guess you didn't get this page, but the printing for the last, right
like in 18, it was
Yeah, it was like-
1320.
It was in 17 and 18, it was 2,800 for the printing, or almost 2,900. I think that's because we got too many ballots. I mean, it really frustrates me to see us store a whole box of unused ballots, and we can pretty well predict how many people are gonna vote in the town election. So we just need to be, I mean, the last thing we wanna do is run out. But, you know, we don't want twice as many ballots as we've ever had people vote in an election for. And I think that's what happened, we just got too many.
So you think the 2,300 is
I think
okay?
that should do it.
Okay.
I'm fine with it as presented.
I'm good.
I agree. Thank you.
Yeah, any other questions?
No, ma'am.
Thank you.
Government buildings?
The first time I just did basic report printouts, this one, I was able to export to Excel.
Yeah, I like this. It shows that there is, it's very nice. Thank you.
You want to start on that, Scott? I'll just keep looking these numbers in.
Okay, on the government buildings, where it says custodian, that's actually a combination of our facilities person and our person who does our custodian services in this building. And, you know, currently, facilities person is getting $15.15 an hour. Our custodian is getting $12.50 an hour. And what I'm proposing, based on what I'm seeing in other towns, is that our facilities person should be increased to $17 an hour, and our person who does our custodial services in this building go from $12.50 to $14 an hour. And that's how you get to the $17,056, based on 16 hours a week for the facilities manager and 4 hours a week for our custodial services.
Can you give me that facilities number again?
Facilities number, currently making $15.15, going to $17 an hour for 16 hours a week.
And what was the custodial again? Sorry.
She's currently making $12.50, and I'm proposing she goes to $14 an hour. To give you an idea what the difference would be, if they go to 3% instead, the difference for the facilities person would be $12,979.20 for the year versus $14,144 at 17. For our custodial person, instead of a 3%, if they got a 3% on the $12.50 she makes now, it would be $26.79.04. If we bump her to 14, it would make it $29.12. So we're looking at basically $2,000, a little over $2,000 total.
Well, the way it appears you balanced your budget here, is you reduced the GGB building from 10,000 down to 5,000. What does that line item actually entail?
So, from what I understand, most of that is supposed to be for the building maintenance and repairs. Quite honestly, I'm not sure whether things got charged to the right line items. It appears that some things might have gone into the maintenance line item, and that's why that one was overspent. But even when I added them all together and looked at the actuals and looked at the detail, I just didn't see that we were gonna have a need, and Mark couldn't tell me specifically of any projects that he could identify that were gonna require a significant investment other than what's already in the budget. One thing he did say, and that's really included in the maintenance line item, which is why it went from 17.5 to 19.5, is the 5 septic systems have to be pumped this year. So we're trying to cover that and anything else that might crop up in that process.
Why is lawn care and groundskeeping two separate items?
That's a very good question, because it's the same vendor.
And it seems like it's the same function. I mean, at least perceptually. Like
No, we've
perceptually.
got two different vendors. We
Not
have-
based on the detail, it's.
Well, I know we get billings from the irrigation company, and we get billings from the lawn care.
So
Whether or not that's the right answer or not, I don't know, but I know we have two different,
two different vendors.
Yeah.
Were involved, whether it's.
Yeah.
So it's,
Yeah.
Irrigation does the irrigation system,
Mhm.
and then Gordon Services does the rest of our.
We don't have a clue what the irrigation cost is in anything yet? I don't need to
I-
dig into it, it's not that.
Yeah, I've got the detail here, so.
I'm just trying to figure out if perhaps that's the reason you get two different vendors.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think there's some items that could be consolidated into single line items. That's a project for 2020.
Okay.
I wanna talk to the auditors to see how they prefer to do things, but I'm thinking things like our telecommunications costs, instead of splitting it out between departments, might be better under one.
I would have thought so.
Same with our IT and computer support services. I think it'd be better if we had it in one spot.
You have the notes from last year. At one of the years, and I don't know if it was last year or the year before, we had budgeted money for plantings around town, and I don't know. I think that was probably budgeted under groundskeeping.
For some reason, I thought that was a separate line item for the, beautification, whatever, for the garden club. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
We're not sure.
Like we did the planters down by the Fish Market, and we did some on the bridge over by the mill.
was no separate budget for that.
It's a garden, which is
So
lawn,
we thought
mowing
there
it.
was, I thought it was like $500.
So, I mean, we do take care of the plantings out in front of
Yeah.
the building.
Not under the
Just didn't think
selectmen.
it'd just be
Alright.
that unplanned.
I could look it up
I would think so.
tomorrow.
Yeah.
This is where it should be.
Yeah. But I don't know where it, I can look it up and tell you which line item it was.
Well, Scott showed the two line item, the lawn care, the groundskeeping, and the books, all going to the same vendor. So-
Yeah, it might have been one of those ones where they got awarded both, because I know in years past, we've had other people that have gone out and done like the mulching and things like that, who were not the people that were cutting the lawn. Is that what you mean?
No, remember when?
Right, no, I was talking about why we have things in two line items.
The only, I don't know why they're two. I was thinking that where groundskeeping was only 2,000. I know typically with the lawn irrigation system, it's a matter of the startup in the spring and the winterization, and that's probably close to what that cost would have been. The lawn care,
When you
By
say
the
lawn
groundskeeper.
care, is that like, do we have? a
cut the
cost?
lawn.
No,
Oh.
I meant, where are those lawns? Are they like?
Town office,
Ju-
Memorial Park, Fire Station, Bank Village Common, Appleton Common, Smithville Common, fertilizing and aeration of fields of Memorial Park, Old Town Hall,
That-
Schoolhouse,
you- you-
Smithville.
Yeah.
You've answered my
Just, you know,
question.
Just so you know, if that comes around again, Old Town Hall needs to be taken off. The Old Town Hall doesn't have any lawn that we
This was
cut.
2018.
No, I understand. What I'm saying is that needs to be taken off on anybody. There's no lawn there that the town takes care of. The neighbor cuts the
What's
lawn.
there? Oh,
There's,
okay.
they have no lawn. They've got enough lawn to walk past the building. So the neighbor cuts the lawn. So I don't
I saw
know.
that, it's there for land. Is that
Hmm?
another building where the building
It was
takes up the whole lot?
$1,070 in 2018 for
How
those
much?
two.
Well,
How much?
yeah, the Old Town Hall
1,070
takes up that whole lot. So there's no lawn that the town needs to cut.
The Old Town
I
Hall,
didn't
and
know
the
that it
school,
was
old schoolhouse.
like that.
Old schoolhouse, okay.
Okay, you're talking Old Town Hall. I'm
Yeah.
sorry, I'm thinking schoolhouse.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
I can't even
Yeah.
I can't find that budget. That's my issue. Can't find my copy of that budget.
Okay, no biggie.
Yeah.
All I know is if we're going to try and, like this past year, we had a business donate the flowers for the bridge,
Mm-hmm.
but,
If they don't.
you know, and they also, I think, donated, the ones down at the center of town.
Mhm.
But if they don't, or we wanna do other areas, we need to budget for it,
Right.
so, I don't know what's in, Scott, do you know what's in that $1,000 under groundskeeping? And is the lawn care based on,
So
our
they all-
contract value this year?
I'm not sure what the total contract value was to Gordon Services, but Gordon Services is the vendor for both of those line items and the only vendor that's showing up in the detail that's been paid.
Do we go to bid on this on an annual basis?
Last year, we did not because we were so pleased with the services that Gordon Services had done, and they were low bid the year before. We agreed as a board, if the price was the same, we would just continue with their services.
So what would happen if we've approved the budget and it goes through the approval process and we can't get Gordon to do it at the same cost? What do we do in the town?
We'd end up putting it out to bid or changing the services.
But that doesn't control the amount we've budgeted, so if we said, oh, it's a hypothetical.
It would have to get moved from somewhere else.
You just have to, you don't pull it from the rainy day fund or anything like that?
We don't have a rainy day fund.
You
The-
don't?
You're not
No.
allowed to.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
budget is the rainy day fund.
Yeah.
That answers that question.
So Scott, just so I can understand, lawn care budget 11,000, is that what we're paying now?
Correct.
Okay, and then the groundskeeping went down from 2,000 to 1,000.
And we overspent it by $516.
But yet we're still keeping the last year's number? Should that not be increased, and are we going to increase to cover the cost of plantings?
Yeah, I would say let's go to 2,000 on groundskeeping or lawn, which groundskeeping I would say because it's not really lawn
Yeah,
care.
correct.
I would say go to 2,000. That would cover. That would give us that overage plus another $500 approximate, 400 and some odd to buy some mums and plants, and it's not that. I mean, we don't have that many going on.
I'm good.
Put a note on the side. So that's to include. So the groundskeeping budget is for irrigation and flowers?
Plantings.
Planting.
Okay.
Call it just plantings that
I
way.
didn't
You
care
need to
about
put a
This is
bush
just for a
there.
note on the side,
Yeah.
that's all it's, so that next year, right?
If irrigation is separate,
So I'm gonna have to look into it, but Anric actually did the work. I don't know whether Gordon subcontracted Anric to do it.
No, they don't,
They don't?
they don't.
then I don't
Because
think
I
that's
don't,
what.
I have not seen a bill from Anric, and they came, you know, in October
Yeah.
before it froze and, blew out our lines.
Hmm.
And if I recall, and this one's strictly on recollection, I think they even donated the system. Anric did,
Anric,
yeah.
But if they charge this, I don't think it's reflected in this $12,000 cumulative total, or 12,000,
no,
yeah.
not based on the
But,
detail.
but Dave included irrigation in the budget, you may be under budget again because of that.
Now, what we're doing is, under the groundskeeping line item,
Yeah,
they've spent 1569, which I think that was the number, right?
Yeah.
1569.
for plantings,
No,
apparently, according to the line item in the budget, yeah. It was not the irrigation is what I'm trying to emphasize.
oh,
You're gonna
I
be
know
sure
what
of
that was.
Hmm.
That was the plantings at the, new town sign, probably,
Okay.
yeah. Does that ring a bell? Dollar-wise, that Gordon Services did for us?
Yeah, they did all the little,
Yeah,
yeah. Which,
I don't remember what that value was, but I'm
That
gonna
sounds
guess
right.
that could have been it.
But again, that gives us the ability, like you said, to do the plantings that we currently have if no one donates, plus doing some other ones if we see spots that we'd like to have it done.
But I'm concerned though if,
I don't think your irrigation is. being covered.
irrigation's not being
If
covered.
you're gonna do irrigation, you're gonna fall short if it hits those
But-
two line items.
Unless Peter picked it up. His
Yeah.
budget's in there.
No,
'Cause I
he
never saw
should.
the invoice for Anric, I know that.
I
But-
thought I saw something come in for the winterization, but it's not in the report.
Don't see Anric.
But I mean, how much is the winterization normally cost?
I would think it'd be a few $100.
We got 1818 still left in lawn care.
But we just got a bill in. I just saw that today. It was $1,000 in the manifest.
Right, so that
Yeah.
leaves us still 818, so we should still be
Yeah.
fine.
Okay. So maintenance,
So it's going up because of
yep,
septic
I'm just
pumping.
looking, you started to describe before about the cost for this year. We're over the budget, and yet we're gonna have more pumpings this year for the septic,
Yeah, 5 septic systems have to be pumped,
okay?
so that's what the bump from 17.5 to 19.5 is.
Okay, so do we have to account for where we went over this year for something that we didn't budget last year?
So, honestly, Mark wasn't sure why we went over. He couldn't point to a specific thing on the detail that put us over.
But you said earlier, maybe I misunderstood, that line item 420, which is the CGB building and the CGB maintenance,
Right.
you weren't clear on the expenditures being appropriately located in those line items.
I am concerned about that, but I can't tell from the detail that I have.
Right.
So the one were 9,000 under and the other one were,
Well, that's my-
3,000
that's
over.
What I'm saying is that it may very well just be an allocation issue as opposed to a dollar issue.
And it could very well be.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's one thing I'd have to do a little forensics with Roger to figure out whether things were charged to the right line item.
Right.
Mark, you know, isn't gonna be able to tell me that. But, you know, building maintenance, you know, that goes on for pages, cause you know, a lot of it's small stuff. I mean, it really is, it's, you know, we're talking items, that are typically, you know, $100 or less.
Right. A lot of downsides there.
Yeah. So, you know, it's just miscellaneous supplies that he picks up as he's going through the doors and
Door hinge there, latch here.
that sort of thing, that's exactly right.
Not a question of the budget, more of the function. What is security? Is that a security camera, a security
Yes.
system?
Yes, both.
No, we have a subscription and it's monitored.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're not security services.
Yeah.
One thing I don't see here, and we've kind of skirted around the issue, is that situation down on Greenville Road, with that house that's an attractive nuisance. We did
Mhm.
talk about fencing.
Yeah.
Do we need a line item in this particular budget for that, or are we going to let sleeping dogs lie?
I don't think it would come out of this budget, would it?
Yeah, we'd have to budget it somewhere, and this is probably where I'd say you
If we
would.
choose
because
to do
you're-
something.
Yeah, yeah, and I thought,
Would you like me to-
refresh my memory, where we did go to tax deed on that,
We
right?
did, that's correct, so.
We did.
It is our property right now.
Did go to tax deed? I
Did.
thought we were,
No, I thought we had, yeah,
okay,
It did.
all right.
yeah,
And you said
Right now, because the owner has an ability to pay it off and get it back.
within,
How long
within
does that last?
3 years.
3 years,
Yeah, I
but
think
honestly,
we-
we can expedite that process, but that's something that I wanna discuss with town council first.
Um,
Is it inhabited? Is the property inhabited right now?
No,
No.
it's still burnt out one on, just if you take Temple Road into Greenville.
Okay, I
It's the last house before you cross into Greenville, basically.
Yeah.
It's burnt
Right
out.
across from the cemetery,
Yeah,
Pretty much.
pretty much, yeah. Well, you said you think we can rent fencing?
yeah, you can rent fencing, I'm just trying to
Yeah,
quickly run a quick number in my head, 2, 3, 4, 5,
How long?
600
It's fencing to keep people
times,
healthy.
Yeah,
it's a safety, the whole place is safety
it's
hazard.
attractive news.
Well, the term attractive, unattractive.
Exactly.
And I thought, what are they putting up,
What would you say
a
is value
stockade
around that
fence?
house?
I mean, I'm just trying to get my head around the problem.
I think
That's
the
the
neighbors
most,
would
yeah.
have first, I mean, but that's
$6
not what we have planned.
$5 a foot, it'll cost you $3,000
Yeah, that seems about right for what, a year?
A month? Or-
a year, a year.
Alright, so we put that into, what line item?
We would technically should be adding a line item, so
Okay.
we can
Yeah,
know what
that's
it,
what I was thinking.
Alright, so, security fencing,
Yeah, most-
or safety fencing. $3,000 safety fencing.
Yep.
Same $3,000?
$3,000.
Yeah, that's reasonable.
I was almost hoping it had too much of a snow load a couple of weeks ago.
After that big
You know-
storm, I was,
you know what really has me concerned is, and there's a vehicle park.
Right.
That's gonna be handled differently, I think. You tax deed the property,
Correct.
but the
So
vehicle
I
is
already
gonna
talked
be,
to Tim about that, and, there are some legal steps that we can take, but at some point, we may have to secure title on that vehicle so that we can dispose of it. There is a process to do that.
Yeah. Yeah, I was also curious about any personal items that, because it looks like there's, I mean, most of the stuff is burnt, but it looks like they had brought a fresh ladder in at one
Yeah, I
point that's
noticed that,
sitting in
yeah.
there. And that's been sitting there since right after the fire. So I didn't know what the rule was on any personal items left in there either.
So there's, in fact, after the snow melted this week, I realized just how much stuff was around that property.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, there's all sorts of junk just in the yard that was there. It's not like that came out of the house, that was there.
Just,
Yeah, yeah, that's what it looked like.
Mm-hmm.
yeah. The question is, if we've tax deeded it, does the owner still have the right of access?
no,
Mm-hmm.
So they shouldn't be going back onto the property at all.
Right.
and if we're,
Why wouldn't we just demolish it?
Well, you're gonna have to.
Well, we, at some point we do, but
Yeah.
what we're hoping is if we find someone that's interested in the property as is, then they can take it on. So, but it's all a process, but yeah, I mean,
You're gonna
It-
wait 3 years?
no,
no, you don't have to.
no.
You don't?
No, you can start the process, they have 3 years to come back and make a purchase, but then they would have to pay all the back taxes, plus any legal fees, plus reimbursement of whoever's purchased the home and everything else. So if someone goes in there and demolishes, buys it from us, demolishes the property and starts doing stuff, and the person comes up and says, oh, I have the money, it's all the money they owe us, plus all the money they're gonna owe them.
Yeah, which makes it
Good
virtually
line.
impossible. Okay, okay. Yeah, I
I'm
just didn't wanna get
wondering
ourselves in a
if
risk.
that's, if the property has debris on it, not so much the burned structure,
Mm-hmm.
whether we shouldn't be budgeting like a dumpster to go there, pick it up with a loader or whatever, put it in a dumpster and get it out of there.
Again, I don't know what, I think we'd have to consult to find out, is there anything we're supposed to do about that?
I think if it went to tax deed, it's the property, you know.
I agree,
just
but I don't
thinking
know,
if
I also
this-
don't wanna put us into a bigger bind, you know, so, cause I think there's a shed on one side of it, who knows what's in there.
But I'd leave that, I'm just talking about something that would be
Yeah, sheds
attractive to
collapsed.
rodents or that type of thing,
Mhm.
just something,
Well, I think we need to have some person go onto the property, see if there's anything of value to be salvaged, and then, I mean, I don't know that there is or isn't, but.
I wouldn't be looking at it from that point, I'm just looking to have the DPW go in with a load of back blade, get rid of, and again, I haven't looked at it that close to know
Well, I
what's
mean,
there.
well, I was just
Like,
wondering,
you know,
I mean,
if
is
there
that,
were mattresses
well, I
and
mean, is
stuff
that
that would
even, is
attract.
that even something that can be done with a dump truck and a loader, and then just dump it into the construction fill?
What construction?
Like, I don't know, or the dumps.
I'm thinking of trash, more trash, anything that would be rodents.
Right, so
you
what
know.
I'm saying, I mean, is that just something we could use a loader and a dump truck and then dispose of it at the at the transfer station?
I'm just thinking, we're gonna pay to dump it from there, so why bother trucking it there? Why
Yeah,
not
you
have
just
it-
rent the dumpster,
Yeah.
and then whoever
Yeah.
you rent the dumpster for hauls it off and
Yeah.
disposes
You
of
get a
it.
30-yard dumpster for a couple $100.
Yeah,
No,
that's,
no, you can't.
I did, and I filled it.
I'm
Well,
gonna say,
another 1,000?
yeah, it would cost probably $600 for a dumpster and 5 tons of debris, which is what a 30-yard would hold.
so $1,000 to dispose of it.
Yeah, but I'm thinking we're gonna have to
Right, we're gonna have
DPW's
to-
time there or
right.
whatever.
Would you wanna consult with your legal first, just to make sure that you're not tripping on a wire, that will cost you more with legal down the road?
Yeah.
I would.
Yeah,
Want to increase that to 4?
yeah, so,
It's a different budget.
well, you just save,
We're gonna get to that budget.
Picky.
or just make another line item, or just,
I was gonna just do safety fencing / disposal.
okay.
Disposal,
So you guys are budgeting 1,000 for
Yeah.
disposal?
Well, yeah, so we're just gonna safety fencing / disposal and make it 4,000.
Damn house costs us a fortune.
So much of a decrease in that budget.
I think it was the week you guys didn't show up. It's the week you took off.
Yeah, we did do the DPW.
You had to take the shot.
I missed 2 weeks. I can't say.
Yeah, I missed the DPW too. Was anybody here, were you here for the DPW?
He was all by himself.
So-
Mark tried to speak at one point. I said, "You don't have a quorum. Please be quiet."
Don't you remember Mark sent out the email? Mark sent out the email.
Yeah.
Dudes, where
That was the one where I was sick, okay, I get that.
Going back, I'm gonna wanna take
Yeah.
the same
Is that the cemetery
situation
club
here
one?
on the,
On the top two,
Yeah.
just revisit it.
yeah.
Okay.
I'm,
Because
If you can't tell me that-
I am
if
there
you
was
can't
some
tell
sort
me,
of
that's okay,
increase,
too.
but I don't think.
that would be
again,
part of it. I
Such a
think.
job.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
These are some of the smaller budgets. This is the legal budget.
Right,
So just to
we're
put closure on
we're
this,
gonna come back and
for the
revisit that.
increases, I'm gonna wanna
Same difference with
take a
the
look, do
previous
some
two.
Yeah.
research, and we'll come back to that.
Yeah.
Because like I said, again, an increase is there, but
Yeah, well. Then you gotta get into some of the non-default budget for the proposed budget. That'll be a nice trick.
yeah.
So again, just to follow up on my academic question before about overages, in the legal budget, I see a $29,000 overage. We have to pull that from other departments, from other budget, somewhere?
Bottom line,
Bottom line.
Yeah.
Or I can take it out of our pockets.
It's getting close to
Yeah.
that.
I had that line in my head all since I read this budget this afternoon. I believe there's, just on the legal budget, I believe there's some outstanding legal issues that are being addressed.
A couple.
I'm trying to be
Yeah.
sensitive here.
No, but I mean,
Is 40,000 gonna be enough?
So that's an unknown.
That's my question.
but we doubled it.
Yeah. I think there's enough things out there that I think at least 40 is warranted,
Okay.
so.
But warranted is different than enough.
yeah, well, first
It
of all, I
is,
wanna.
it's hard to, honestly, it is difficult to calculate, and
No,
there are some ongoing,
Stuff.
issues where we, the invoices show up, we have to pay them, and, part of this involves other towns in some cases as well, so.
we're sharing the cost?
Correct, so depending on what our portion is of some of those, and we don't know what that's gonna be, because we're, in some ways, we're at the mercy of the consortium on whether they wanna keep pursuing something legal, unless we decide to drop out and settle on our own.
That's not, for example, the school issue?
No.
Okay.
No, that's not even on
Yeah.
us.
Okay,
No.
I didn't think so, that's why I wanted
Yep.
to clarify.
And we have been making a concerted effort to go to the New Hampshire Municipal Association for the occasional legal advice for simple questions.
It just seems to me if we spend $49,000 this year and we don't see any reduction potential and actually see places where we need to ask additional questions.
Do
why
you
would we
have
budget
the
same?
breakdown of what we spent?
Well, we did resolve one issue, so
Okay.
making progress, I think.
Do you wanna try to prorate its value out of that 50,000?
Last year we only spent 14,000.
Sure, no, I hear you. Yeah. But given the fact that it has to come out of the bottom line somewhere, and we're not clear yet, I'd rather have a surplus at the bottom line than have to take from another department.
Well, the other thing though is, I mean, and on the other side is you start doing increases here, there, and here and there and here and there, and all of a sudden, that budget's now 20,000 because we go on a default.
$50,000 worth of legal.
So,
If-
Is this
If the
where
budget's
money
voted down, that
The
line item
assessors-
stays at 20.
where
Correct.
that was never
Wasn't there an
budgeted?
increase from, percentage increase from?
some of it is gonna.
Nope.
That's last year's?
It's last year's plus any, minus any one times plus any contracted. So if you put it, everyone got a raise and it wasn't that budget and you gave raises,
Let's call it.
the raises are gonna go through, any one times are taken out.
And then some of it is Donahue, Tucker, and
It's the
GNW.
bottom line though.
I'm trying to remember
It's the
the
bottom
Which is the
line.
shared.
Yeah, the bottom line you
That's what
get,
I'm-
but
And some of the,
technically, everyone's bottom line goes back to what it was in the prior year.
So that's it, it's gotta come from someplace. It
That's what I'm
doesn't
trying to
come
think
out
of
No,
what we
But,
spent.
and that's the thing, when it
Yeah,
goes to a
I can-
default,
I
then
can
it
get
becomes
you
our
detail. I
issue
don't know
of
why
trying
I
to
printed
shuffle
it
around
out
to figure out where the
and
money
everything
is gonna come from.
in detail.
When you do have these sudden
Because the
increases
only
all
one I
over the
could
place.
think of was
So.
the,
Well, we were doing pretty good until tonight.
Mhm.
Went through the roof tonight compared to the other budgets.
Yeah, well,
Well, to be fair, this is one of what, 3 budgets
what
that
did
have
we
5 figures in
spend
it,
on legal
at least?
for this year?
I didn't see the
The
DPW,
one
so I
on,
imagine that's another one.
No,
that's
that
more
did
than
well.
50.
Wheeler Road, the
It
utensil.
was below
Mhm.
last
Then what about all the stuff with the, or is that a separate one? Right, they have their own budget assessed.
No, that's the one that did go to here, but it wouldn't be going here now though. For next year, the one from the assessors.
But we had two from them, didn't we?
Right, but
We
now-
had two separate
but now
ones that we've
we've-
been paying for.
But now that we've resolved the one with,
So- Fair point,
Fairpoint,
Right.
that's gone away.
correct.
But that's one of them that we've had.
Yeah,
And then the other one with,
Eversource.
Eversource is still out when we've been paying.
but I'm thinking that that's a, I don't wanna slight it, but it's a short dollar.
No, that was I think that was a pretty decent bill we had to pay.
no, we're talking considerable expense.
But then you figure all this, every time we're
Do you have it in
getting,
your office?
every time we're getting a
I can print it out.
Yeah, if you could,
well then,
Yeah.
I'd like to see what it is.
right, but then
that was
I don't know how much we get charged every time we ask, a
25,000.
letter. 25,000?
Yeah,
Yeah,
For what?
for Eversource.
Eversource.
But every time we had to go through, we had a dismissal, how many letters did that, and consultations is that? I mean, that's just one. And then all the stuff that we've been doing with the cemetery,
Yeah.
that's a lot of letters, a lot of time there.
And we still have a ways
Then
to
we
I'll
had-
bet you with that there, with,
What?
with Upton and Hatfield, which is town council,
Okay. We had our,
I don't think we're 15,000.
okay, but then we've got the one on Greenville, right, but you said 15,000, so that's 15,000 plus 25 for
And that's
Eversource.
why I'm saying, that's the one I wanna,
Yeah,
That's 40 right there.
that's 40 right
Yeah.
there, and then
I don't
another
think
9,
we got
yeah.
enough budget, to be honest with you. I hear
But
what you're
one of them's gone. One of them,
saying. Yeah, but not the 2 that you just, the 15 grand one is gone?
no.
no, yeah, well,
That's
no,
a
that's a
general-
constant, that's a
yeah.
general,
Okay.
so all we have right now, but we Fairpoint's done.
Yeah, no, I understand, but do
And-
we know what we spent? I'm just trying to figure out,
Yeah.
is there a way to sort of say, oh, well, that was only 10% of the total cost, in which case.
Yeah. I mean, because like right now, this year, looking ahead, I mean, there's really only one big one that we've got sitting there, and that's Eversource. It's still sitting there.
That was, I asked Roger yesterday what that was for the year so far, it was 24,873, and then we just got a bill yesterday for like 1,900.
Yeah.
I could tell you exactly how much.
Who's your town council?
Upton and Hatfield.
Do you have a specific lawyer there?
Yeah.
Who?
Bart.
Who?
Barton.
Why does it matter?
Just curious.
Oh.
Yeah.
I use them, so I was
Yeah.
curious
Yeah.
if it was
It's
my attorney.
was it Barton Meyer, right?
I mean, unless it was confidential, which I couldn't
No,
imagine.
no, not for town council. No, Barton Meyer is normally the gentleman we deal with.
I don't know.
You guys on planning didn't use that guy out of Keene for anything?
I think we sent one question to him recently, but I think this last year we haven't had any issues. We might have spent, $250 or
They're
so.
just showing zero.
Yeah,
That's all.
I don't recall us using them. Didn't we just send an inquiry to Gary Kenyon
Yes,
recently?
yes.
Yeah, that won't be billed until next year probably. I don't,
I don't know how fast he bills. I haven't
he's
seen it.
very slow
Oh,
billing, mostly because we don't use them that much.
right. So I emailed him, he researched it, and I also had a conversation on the phone with him. Ka-ching, ka-ching. I just heard that noise at every minute I talk to him.
Oh, yeah.
No kidding.
Yeah. Damn timer on his desk. It's like a taxi driver.
Wouldn't it be better if it sounded like a slot machine paying out instead?
Wouldn't it?
Oh, it is for him.
For him,
Yeah.
yeah. We're in the wrong
That's the
sound.
sound he gets on his end.
So, are we not planning on breaking out anything for them for planning and zoning?
I think I'd just leave
Yeah,
those,
that's what I'm saying. It's
leave
just-
those as
oh,
is.
wonder.
So just leave it all under one?
Well, I'm just looking here that we used to have legal for conservation and legal for assessors, which went to 0, but then now, this past year,
You drove your Prius today.
Not tonight.
I mean,
You drove your Prius today?
No.
I've been going out 6 years, that's probably.
I got an all-wheel drive one now.
I saw it.
David, who does the
So we have
zoning
other
board use for
departments
their
that we
attorney?
don't have budgets for, but yet, but the assessors that, I think it was San Souci or whatever, as part of the,
Four-wheel drive.
48.
PSNH Verizon went into this year, that's why we're so high on the legal.
Yeah, I mean, who does the zoning board use for their, do they use Bart for their attorney?
We don't need attorneys. I can't ever remember us going to an attorney,
Really?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. We're easy going.
What, for legal?
Selectmen's budget.
Yeah.
Must have been something.
Yeah, it's all in this one. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see planning board needing a great deal either, so.
Speaking of which, have you been following that state bill
Which one?
on, third-party inspections? You guys should be tracking that.
Check it.
It went through as an ought to pass, so.
You ever use that stylus, David?
just trying to figure out how to use it. More of how to figure out not to lose it.
Well, the fact that you still had it made me believe you weren't using
Yeah.
it.
No, I do. I lose it more than I use it.
Right, that seems to be the
Or
problem.
chance of losing it.
You should put a Find My Stylus in the.
There is. There is.
There is?
Yeah.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, and I lost it. And all they told me was it's somewhere near Pizza Haven, and I know it was right in my room where I was.
But
you
it
know.
said it was.
Well, you
pizza.
live near
You
Pizza,
know.
so,
So when you're trying to find this and it tells you
Yeah.
yeah.
it's really,
My wife could find my phone really well.
yeah.
I lose it all the time.
Yeah, I used that one time.
Yeah.
I was amazed.
Yeah, it did a pretty good job. It focused right, my wife said, it's right by the door of your truck.
Yeah.
I went out, sure enough, that's where it was. It's cool.
And my sister-in-law left hers in an Uber, and they tracked it, knocked on the guy's door. He's like, "How'd you find me?" Like, we just want our phone. Thanks. Freaked the guy out.
He didn't go like this. Huh?
No, he's just like, it's yeah. Because what the problem was is she got in the wrong Uber. Because otherwise you just track back the Uber, but she got in the wrong Uber, so it wasn't the one that was on his phone. So then they had to do the Find My Phone and track the guy to his apartment on Thanksgiving morning. Poor guy, freaked him out.
Are we gonna revisit the US budget tonight?
Which one?
The one we were starting with today? Are we gonna revisit
Yes.
that tonight?
Not tonight. Thank you.
What's our budget, Mike?
However much you want to bring in.
Yeah, so some of the San Souci invoices are in here as well.
I saw that. I turned to my wife, I said, you know, I've been doing that all my life, and they certainly don't mean what they're saying. Do we have a projection right now in terms of what this year's budget's gonna end up with in terms of surplus or deficit? Oh, yeah.
certainly not gonna be overspent, but I'm not sure what.
But how much is really gonna be there? So we're not sure, for example, that 26,000 over is just gonna be cut in a week? Or you think we will?
Oh,
Or the smoke clear?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, I think we should. So this is.
Just doing a quick ad in my
Just
head
our
here.
liability insurance.
Just on
Guys will hand these out.
Upton and Hatfield,
So these are the insurance coverages, these are kind
This
of
year.
non-negotiable.
we're probably around 19,000,
That's what our
just doing a quick
projections are for this year.
adding. The rest of this appears to be,
It's insurance.
uh, between,
Police insurance?
No, this is our insurance premiums, this is what we pay to primaries.
So they drop?
They did actually,
Wow.
which is good because our health insurance went up the other way.
The rest of them seem to be the same, Susie?
So yes,
between, Donahue, Tech and Cindella. Now that was
Never seen my insurance go down.
Fairpoint, so that goes away.
the only
Then
time I did
the rest
was
are
when I
gonna
went across the
be,
border from Massachusetts.
Donahue, Tucker,
That's true. Okay,
and
you know, I
Susie.
need to restate that. It's been 3 years now, so I've sort of
Yeah.
already looked at that
Wait
line.
a minute, no, Donahue,
So,
The best move I ever made, not only did my insurance go down,
Donahue
my
and
income, my salary
Susie,
went up.
and
oh yeah,
Susie.
absolutely.
I gave a 5% raise,
H.
so.
That's street lighting.
Drummond was Fairpoint.
Yeah.
Those,
Street lighting
I
budget.
think, are the only ones that are on.
Turn it off.
So
Where's the
Fairpoint,
blinker?
What's that?
I'm gonna
Street
just
lighting.
quickly
Where's
see
the
how much
blinker?
Fairpoint was.
You have a flash, oh, is that for the school?
Yeah, we have a couple. Yeah, we have one, by the,
Yeah, one of them,
This
one of them
is
got
street
hit.
lighting.
yeah, but it's being replaced.
Fire department.
Yeah. It's already been purchased, or it's supposed to be for this year, so it's being replaced.
Yeah, so, even Drummond last year may have been $2,200. It wasn't much out of them. Have we heard from, DTC on where they are with PSNH?
No, not recently.
Wasn't that in court in November?
It was, they had sent us some documentation, which I believe you saw. There were some emails updating us on what was happening, but I have not seen anything recently from them, but I can
Nothing
certainly.
about a decision by the court,
There isn't one yet. It's been continued, we're talking about,
yeah,
yeah.
I'm just wondering if we've received it back from the. Interesting.
I had the email from them that said they were continuing it to next year and on that.
Continuing what?
We're talking about Venezuela's?
Yeah,
Yeah.
but my understanding
So they-
was it was before the judge in November.
Yep, it was. And it was,
Calendar we're up against now.
Oh, yeah.
it didn't end,
So it's still in process.
correct.
Here's the one I was looking for.
So what are your thoughts? Staying where it is?
I'm just saying if we spent 50,000 this year, and Fairpoint was only $2,000 last year. I wish I knew where PSNH was gonna be this coming year.
Because when we started right away in January.
I don't see a problem in reading that.
It's not right.
Well, what I mean is like, it's not like we came up with the 25,000 starting in June, you know?
Oh,
Well, we've got a
Yeah.
flyer.
So, I mean,
Yeah.
it started at the very beginning of the
Yeah,
year.
yeah.
So
Yeah,
and,
so,
I mean, I can't see,
Well,
so if we're at
at least we know it's
25,000,
delivery. It's easier we can say for the electronic.
I mean-
Put it out there, you have no idea.
we really go at 10,000? Because if Upton and Hatfield's the same at 20, and this one's 25, that brings us up to 45,000 right away.
Mark,
Go 5,000?
page 3 of the schedule, it's got him down. It's
See
the
what
last
I'm
day
not
for the official
clear in
budget
my
committee.
mind is if
Because we're the advisory committee, does that change?
the Eversource
Do we have the same kind of a deadline?
legal thing is in court now,
That is not us.
and it's gonna be,
No.
a decision's gonna be made, then
Right, we could be done.
It's
we could be done.
Close to
Right.
surely us last year.
I'm not sure that as a
That was ugly last.
board, how long does this continue on?
Right. And it doesn't sound like in what
Another half.
Jim told us that they would even know.
Yeah, and this could be appealed even
Again.
higher.
One of them is-
Like with Fairpoint, we ended up saying, cut our losses, settle it, and then, you know,
Because we're the one paying, but on the other side, it's them that'd be paying us. So they,
Yeah, I mean,
depending
we're,
on which way.
right,
yeah,
and
we're
they got
talking several
bigger,
hundred
right,
thousand
and they got
dollars.
bigger pockets than we do, so, I mean, they could keep appealing this, which means we have to keep fighting. Because then if we, so,
But I thought the legislature was in the process putting an RSA in place to say how the assessment needed to be done. That's why I don't, you
Yeah.
know, what did I say? Say round numbers was 20 was
up to
town, so you're
49,
down to 29.
and about
The other one was only 2
2,000,
grand.
yeah.
Yeah.
Separate's 27,
So I would say 25 and
20,
20, which
so
is
so bring it up 5,000.
So we're gonna
Okay.
go 45?
45.
Yeah.
Okay,
I
I'm
just
comfortable with
don't
that.
wanna-
So
That's
legal's going up to 45?
Yes, sir.
Yep. And we're gonna leave planning and zoning as is? Okay.
Well, it's all gonna come out of that
Pot.
pot of money.
Well, just to be clear, you're saying 45 for the total budget, not for that one line item.
So we only have,
Yeah.
Scott's only done it as one line
Yeah,
item
it's
under
a league,
legal
yeah.
for selectmen.
Yeah, because all the rest of them rolled in prior years. These were the last two that hadn't been rolled in.
And they're gonna roll in from here on out.
Mm-hmm. All right.
Because like I said, basically, like assessors is really what our big punch was this year, is really an assessing legal, but it all rolls into this year, so.
Okay.
Yeah, unless you think there's some value in keeping it separate.
Okay.
I'm trying to think if there's, is there anything else that, the cemetery,
I think that's still with town council, and I think that's, I'll be honest, I think that's gonna keep just letters.
Yeah, that's gonna
Yeah,
go
that's-
another
we
year
gotta talk about
anyway.
that tonight,
Okay,
All
yeah,
right.
we'll get to that.
yeah.
Legal.
So, let me see, yeah. There's really not much we can do about insurance except look at it and go, yep, there it is.
It went down.
Yeah, it did go down.
You have to.
It's a win.
Some make sure it goes up.
Yeah, probably.
And we actually added a building, right?
Maybe a win if you
We
collect.
added the,
We did.
old fire station.
Yeah, I think that insurance was all personal, wasn't it? Or was that all
No, it was
building?
property.
Property.
That's property,
Yeah.
that's
property,
Yeah.
yeah.
They say we have a good record or something?
So they base their, it's a non-profit consortium of communities, so it's based on actual claims. So if claims go down, have a good claim history, the premiums go down.
That's the way regular insurance was supposed to work, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Can we say the same about street lighting? Is that what it is what it is?
Pretty much, other than we're going to be trying to do a replacement project.
Right. If we do the LED swap out,
Yeah.
our rate would actually go down maybe,
20-30%
I
perhaps.
think 20 is about right, because that's what happened when I got rid of all mine to LED. Worked out pretty well.
We're not quite there yet.
It's
Well,
only
we-
2019.
Well, we-
How many lights do we have?
It's too extra, 112,
Right.
it's not a step we went.
No. No, but it's, we went around and looked at them and we found it's kind of a, I mean, we are looking at getting some of them shut off, but, really we found that, but we're using surplus that we received from the state to do the LED swap out.
Yeah, I mean, the only reason I asked it, I was driving down 123 and out of the blue, there's no lights on that whole road except for this one spot, there's a light, and you're looking at it going, why is there a light there?
Certain ones, it's safety of the corner, whatever. But like, you know, for example, at you know, we looked at at the high school.
Sure.
There's one on both sides of the entrance.
Both sides.
Yeah. So really, do you need one on both sides of the entrance?
It depends on how good the lighting is.
It's a good light, and there's all sorts of lights inside the parking lot that they pay for.
Right.
Well, that we pay for.
Right.
But it's not like
Different bill.
you're ever driving up to a dark parking lot.
No, I get that.
Yeah.
Literally, the one.
But I mean, the driveway's only, you know, 4 car width,
Right.
and there's a pole on both sides. Why do we need one on both sides?
That's what I was asking. is
And
there
then the other thing is you know, there's ones that are there that we have in town that aren't working, but we're still getting paid, charged for them.
Wait a minute, this is a flat fee, this is not a metered fee?
No, you pay by the light.
By the light?
Yeah.
Whether it's working or not? Apparently the answer is yes.
We hope that they're all working.
Yeah, we hope they're all working, but you know, but we know that there's
That's
some
why
issues.
we keep reminding residences, and matter of fact, we now have a link to our website where you can report a light out.
The light up.
Yeah. Scott, was the jump on the workers' comp because of claims?
They didn't say. We did have, I
wasn't
believe,
quite a
12.
Yeah, but it could have been we had a good year drop off and a bad year come on kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did we have claims?
I think they said we had 12 claims last year. And that might have been one claim over 12 months.
What went up? I showed
So
a decrease.
Workers' comp.
Yeah, but I see we budgeted 29 and it was only 16 so far. Did I get the wrong number? We're currently in the green, in the black, so to speak.
Correct, but by the end of the year, that entire amount that was budgeted will be paid out.
Paid out as part of the premium.
Right.
So,
Okay, I'm looking at the wrong line.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I didn't understand the
Yeah,
question.
yeah.
Okay.
I was looking at 16,051, that it jumped to 26, but it's not. That's the actual cost.
The 26 is what they're requesting next year, which is a
Right.
5,000 reduction from
Yeah.
last year.
Yeah.
I mean, we're seeing an 18% decline basically. That looks good to me. Except for Jeff's point that we can only live on that for a year and see what happens next year.
So we on to animal control.
We go with the town budget?
We are.
For tonight.
Be coming
For tonight.
Yeah.
So you're not doing it
We already did it.
I thought it was in the
Well,
Things moved around.
we're going to revisit it.
Oh, do we have a date certain or at some point?
2 weeks.
2 weeks?
3 weeks.
3 weeks. So January 7th.
January 7th.
Yeah.
Dave's off a little bit tonight.
Yeah,
Tonight?
he's usually pretty good.
Tonight?
Yeah, usually you're pretty much on the ball.
Yeah.
Little
Little
spiffy
fuzzy,
quips
little
that come out.
fuzzy.
Really? I'm gonna have to just sit.
They're not
and
that
be
quick.
quiet. I'm not talking. Animal control officer discussion.
Yeah.
You want one?
I mean, I would look at it as currently it's in the budget.
You want-
Evidently, Tim has a couple candidates. Mark was in favor of it, evidently.
Yeah, he's got a kitten now.
Want a kitten?
No,
Okay, never mind. There's another kitten, let me know. My brother has a
It's-
kitten.
Thought we did the
Really?
control.
Yeah.
I'm saying
For
police.
cat.
It's under police.
It's under the police.
You know, it's sad when the commission.
Which would now have to go under its own budget, shouldn't be under the
Well,
fee, but-
it's not, it is its own budget.
Oh, yeah, oh, yeah. See,
But Tim presents it, I
that-
believe.
that cat was.
It got put under its own budget last year,
It wasn't.
in what Tim presented.
I've got like three numbers here at the bottom with no
I have to
description.
come back.
What do you have for the animal budget for last year?
Let me go to police, cause that's where it is.
I'm gonna say it's either 8,179
I have 973084 is what he
or
presented.
9730, right?
Yeah,
So what were the last three line items? After vehicle maintenance, I got $50, then $800, and $700.
50 is supplies.
Animal control, bear with me. Supplies,
Yeah.
yeah,
800 is fuel.
yeah.
700 is equipment.
Okay,
500 is maintenance, vehicle maintenance.
I don't have, I got 500 above, yep,
Okay.
and $1.
Emergencies, animal control emergencies.
Emergencies.
He left $1, I guess, so that if something happened.
Just in case we defund
Yeah,
it.
I mean, I look at it as, I mean, if we think we can fill the position, I have no problem leaving it, but, I mean, it's one of those things, if it goes another year, I mean, that's money that could be used elsewhere.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, we're having a huge amount of problem filling emergency management. I mean, if Tim has candidates,
Well, the other day, I think it was in Ringe, I saw their animal control has a pickup truck, had a plow on the front. So, you got, I mean, I don't know what they're using it for. But, I mean, their truck had said animal control officer, and I'm pretty sure it had a plow on the
moves
front.
dead cows off the road.
So on here though, where would we have a fuel, what would you do with an animal control person? Buy him a vehicle?
I think he
Vehicle
said there'd be,
maintenance?
yeah, I think what, they had a cruiser that's coming out of service, that's what he was gonna
Right,
use?
And didn't he quote
Why
like
would you
200
use it? You
calls a
couldn't use
year?
Cruiser.
Yeah, you could.
Oh, yeah. They came to my house in a cruiser, picked up a
Okay.
dog.
That's what they're
Yes,
using
you
now.
can pick up dogs and cats, you can. What do you do when there's a deer hitting the road?
That's not animal control to do that.
No?
No,
No,
that's,
they put another bullet in. and it's
yeah, the
gone.
cops call and
And
then
then it's still in the middle of the road.
no, they call, I think, they get it off to the side and then he has people he calls who will come and get it. Yeah, animal control, because there's no, you don't have to control it, it's fine. It is under control. Yeah, no, the cops take care of
So then why
that
do we have
themselves.
vehicle maintenance? So we're gonna be buying a vehicle?
No,
Or
he said there's the one that's coming out of, I think he's got a cruiser coming out of service.
Two, actually.
That they'd be able to
two
use.
coming out of service?
I think both the 2013s, one was supposed to come out this year and one's scheduled to come out next year.
Yeah.
Problem is, we can't find a vehicle this year to spend money on. They're unavailable,
Yeah.
so.
Why was I thinking though, one was supposed to become a,
Command vehicle?
yes.
'Cause that was your idea.
Oh,
I,
okay.
well, no, I mean, that was, I remember the discussion. Tim said, no, we'd like to use it, and he says, well, you thought, well, we could use it for the command vehicle, cause she wanted to, but if we got two coming out, one can go animal control, one can go command vehicle. Because that was the whole issue, is we thought, well, you'd have to wait one more year, because she was putting in for mileage to use her vehicle as a command vehicle, and they were doing all this stuff. But
Do we still have a vehicle though down at the highway department?
I believe we do.
Is that just a regular car? It's not a SUV, right?
No, it's Yeah, it's the Explorer he uses for details, like traffic details.
Okay, well,
But
let's
do we
ask
have
this.
a, Crown Vic or something like that down there?
We don't.
Okay.
Have we ever had an animal control officer paid?
Yes,
We have.
Yes.
it used to be,
Yeah.
yeah, we did.
And how
Um,
did it work out? Was it good or bad or?
It was fine, but they used their own vehicle, it was all,
Yeah, I mean, it was, you have to have the right person who has the right view. It was Bob Arpin was, I think, the
Yeah.
last
Okay.
one we
Yeah.
had.
Yep.
and he had a pickup truck that he had a cap on the back,
Okay,
but you know, at that point, I don't know, he picked up my dog once.
He's the last one that I can remember.
so,
So,
I mean, I thought Tim made a fairly compelling case for,
no, I'm like I said, it's in the budget, but I think if we can't find one at the end of this year, we figure out a different way to, you know, either it rolls into part of a police budget, or we split it between police and something else, but you know, it's a matter of where we funded $9,000 into a budget this year that for a position never got filled.
I'd say, yeah, let's try it one more time. Tim says he has 2 people. Let's tell him to go ahead and hire somebody for
At least try.
it, and,
See if they want to be emergency management director too.
yeah, we could make this a full-time job.
Yeah.
Or at least enough to pay the way. Yeah, stick enough stipends together, can make a living.
So we transferring the same budget from 19 to 20?
Yeah.
Yes.
Which is
Probably.
9,730.
Yeah. With I think they're yeah, because FICA and all that hasn't changed, has it, Scott?
No,
Same percentages.
Okay.
same.
So yeah, so it'd be the same.
Could remember to put this into the tally sheet on the front. (2020) road improvement.
Okay.
Scott, there was a comment made earlier about the town road info. I don't know if it meant the historical road info.
I wasn't aware of that.
Do you have that?
I do not.
You don't have this?
I do not.
That was yeah. He said he was looking for some sort of road info, and the state said it was in a file cabinet somewhere.
You
That was
should
good.
have this in the computer, the list of, I can email, this is one that I keep, and I try and keep it updated with the roads that we've been paving every year. But this sheet here was from,
Yeah, I don't,
I think UNH had done it, and
Yeah.
Peter had,
it's not on my computer.
not on your
And
computer.
I've been through every file on that computer.
Okay, you
What
want
I
the
can
one,
find.
you want the one with my notes or without?
Your choice.
I'd say give him one with your
Whatever works
notes.
for you.
That way he knows
Okay.
the last time things were updated and all that.
Okay.
Did Peter have any recommendations for next year that we know of?
Is that what this is about, road
Yes.
improvements? He spoke about finishing Lower Ashby.
I thought we already did that. That was on this year's budget.
No, this year's budget was,
Yeah, we're supposed to finish up past.
we did from, let's say, the other side of Malthouse to somewhere around Whittemore, but just for discussion's sake. But everything there down to the state line, it's just a binder.
See, I thought that was on this year, that we were supposed to do that, basically from kind of like Blueberry Acres to the state line was on this year's list.
No, it was that section from, I call it the 8 bumps. When you come around that corner coming back to town, around Blueberry Acres, and you start going, then you stop, and they weren't bad, but you, 1, 2,
Okay. But we did do something out there past
Yes.
Blueberry Acres.
not past it,
Before it?
before it,
Right.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
All right. So,
Let me see. Let me just see what my legend means. Blue. What was blue? Okay, road should be a priority. Roads that have been paved, not sure if road was paved. And there was one pulverized and binded only in 2016, but I think that's now gone because it's green. Yellow. These are the ones that I'm not sure if the roads were ever paved. Let's see. Whittemore Hill Road, I'm pretty sure it was paved, but this is broken up into 2 sections. Ashby Road to end of pavement, then end of pavement to the end. So, to me, it's a road with little to no traffic. There's
Mhm.
probably 3 houses if I were to
Right.
just venture a guess. Tricknick Road, I know was paved from the bridge, let's just say 25 feet each
Right.
way when the bridge was replaced. And then the developers for Harmony Hills, I think just did an overlay over the existing from the bridge to the intersection with Old Tenny Road. But the section from Turnpike down never has, and actually, that whole road should at some point be considered.
Mhm.
What else was in blue here? Appleton Road, so that's been done now.
Appleton was done this past year?
Yeah.
Okay.
Wait a minute.
No, it was not.
It was done. It was done.
Yes.
Appleton, Ken, Gibbs, and fully paved. I just didn't know if it was top, but, I mean, just binded, but it was.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
thought it was just a binder up.
No,
Nope,
nope,
fully
nope.
done.
Yeah, because they bindered Ken and Gibbs, came and did Appleton, did the binder, the top, and the top, so that everything would
Okay.
be good. Let me just do this in green. Nope. I should put that down as 2019. Then we did Kenny. Well, the other one he did was Mackey.
Oh, yeah. Without our permission.
So Ken was done 2019. Ken Gibbs. So, in no order, just starting at the top of the list, the ones that have not been done. Academy, Andrew, the unpaved section of Ashlon, Beechwood, Binney Hill. Let me see, part of Binney Hill was done. Binney Hill Road, edge of pavement to Poor Farm. Which is 0.04 miles. So that must have been just a short section. I know that road has the section down near the, before you get to the cemetery, I think it is, that's kind of broken up, but
Yeah, that's 200 feet.
yeah, but I mean, if you look at Binney Hill Road in its entirety, we're talking, mile and a half, just under a mile and a half. Now, for some reason, I got Blueberry Lane done. Don't know how that, or if that's been done. I'm showing it in green, but I have no date. Boynton Hill Road is gravel. I'm assuming we're leaving it as gravel. How about this? This isn't. Cascade is the one that we accepted. Chapman is nothing. Collins, Courier, Dark Lane's been done. Davis Village, Finn Hill Road is not. And we've done Fox Farm, Gibbs, Gowan, Green Farm Road we've done. Green Farm.
You know what?
Yeah, we did that a couple years ago.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's fully complete. I mean, we're still waiting on stuff from the developer, but I don't know why we're getting into the list. That's done 2 years ago.
Yeah, we did Green Farm. Didn't we? That's the one off.
No, we didn't.
Are you
We
talking?
did Fair.
No, we.
We didn't do Green Farm is the road that we accepted.
Yeah, you accepted it. I'm just saying it's, doesn't require,
I'm just saying,
Oh.
we've never paved it.
Oh,
no.
Right. We did not pave it because that's the road they accepted and,
Yeah.
Greenbrier, we did, Greenville, we did.
that's the one I was saying. Greenbrier.
Oh, Greenbrier.
Yeah.
Hackler, we have not. High Range, we accepted. Hildreth, nothing. We got Hubbard Pond. Timbertop Road to 114 Hubbard Pond.
It's just over the rise.
So that's what we did in 18.
It's just because it had stopped. It was originally stopped basically at that stop sign, so everyone was stopping at the edge of the dirt, and
Okay.
it was just tearing up the road. I mean, it's still not great, but we moved it up over the hill.
But I didn't think it was this, but this has it down as 0.59 miles. That's, I thought we only went like maybe 200 yards or,
No, we ended up. I think it ended up being a little bit more than what
okay.
we originally thought. But the problem is, it's still the whole way out. Like I said, I mean, people are still using that coming from the Ringe side, where they use Timbertop coming from the Mass side of 119. They're at Beaver Pond and all that, but from the other side, they're still coming through Hubbard Pond.
We got Joy Lane having been done. Kangas Road has not. Ken Street's been done. Kenny Road, Kesty Road, Carolina Road, Maplewood. That's just gravel. King Road's been done. Kivula Road,
Practically private.
yeah. Cove Road, Shaw, Laurel Street, is not. Leo Road, Lock Road, those are all Lower Pratt. Lower River Road is done. Lower School Road is done. Mackey Road is done. Malthouse is not. Manly has. Mason Road, 3/4 of a mile was done, and the other half a mile has not. Matson Road, no. Mill Street has been done. Mountain View has not. Nashua Road, Amy Road has not. Norwood. Most of these are all small. North Road's been done. Old Country Road from Manly has been done. The rest of that was gravel. We did the other end near River Road. Old Grange, that's gravel. Old Tenney is gravel. Old Wilton, that's one that we should probably take a look at. Old Wilton goes from Greenville to 45.
Yeah. Last I knew, that road was in good shape.
Yeah, it looked
I
decent.
think that was one that Peter was saying no, but and it was a through road. But you may want to just.
Yeah, we take a look, but I mean,
Yeah.
last I knew, that road
Yep.
was in good shape.
Yeah, I
And
mean,
put this way, if it's falling apart, it's only been the last couple of years.
Yeah, I mean, I traveled it last year and I
We've
don't
never-
have no problem.
Paved it. The last thing I can, at least the only thing I can remember being done was when Tom Sari put some type of mix down there. It wasn't a.
Yeah, I mean, I remember there
It's
was a
about-
problem with the intersection with Old Wilton and, is it Temple or Greenville?
Greenville.
Grenville.
Yeah.
That area, that intersection's a little tricky, but
It ices up sometimes, but
So Ashburnham Road is done. Pagels done. Perry is done. Philmont is not. Pine Road, Playground Road. Poor Farm is done. Border Hill, I thought they did.
Porter Hill.
I
It's in
thought they
decent
did
shape.
that, yeah.
I mean, it's got a little, the only issue you have now is, I mean, this past week with the melt and the rain, it's still that same issue. The driveway came down, all that washout right down into the road.
Peter never addressed that with
I
you.
don't think so. I don't know. If he did, I mean, but like the other day I came down, I thought it was leaves or whatever. No, it's gravel right out all the way out on the main street.
Try and make a note to go see him. River Road is done. Rumrow Road, South Road, Spindleback, Stone Ridge, Stowell.
But again, I mean, that's the one you want to use it kind of as a bargaining chip.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, it's horrible to keep doing that, but I understand. I mean, it's a well-traveled road and all that, but
well, he's
I
kept
think the right way of doing it is, once you come to terms, then do the whole road,
mhm.
I don't think there's any benefit to us to only do,
section.
Part of
yeah,
it, right?
pieces,
Yeah.
I mean, up to Green Farm, I mean, that's really the most traveled portion. And after that, it's,
There's a lot of houses after it.
yeah, I mean,
Mhm.
it's about 20 houses after or so.
Not counting the ones on the side streets. I think I once counted 27 houses up to the end. But I think we can try and address that. Has he come back to you guys?
He has asked for another extension, which we'll be granting on the 15th of January. I think it's the 15th, yeah.
But that's of the original one.
That's the original subdivision. The other thing that he went through the zoning board of appeals, haven't seen move, no
Well,
application.
why would you keep extending the other one?
We don't have a choice. We've been told we have to keep extending them. We cannot just say, gee, you haven't done anything on your subdivision, we're gonna deny you. We tried that once, went to court on it, cost us about $8,000 in legal fees.
For not granting an extension?
No, we've been just granting extensions. We've been granting extensions for 15 years.
But it went to court on different issues.
Yeah, one of which was a denial because he wasn't making progress.
I didn't think it was that. I thought one was the dead-end road, and the
Yes.
other one was how the calculation for the quantity of homes.
Yes, and the third one was a
I
denial.
don't think there was a third one.
No, there was a third one, a denial, where the board, before I got onto it, denied him, and he went to court and said, you can't deny me. The process was flawed. So that's just been an ongoing 15-year application. And it doesn't cost us anything to just keep granting them extensions. Nothing happens.
Well, his approval on the ZBA will expire.
Right.
So that's why
He hasn't done anything with it.
Yeah.
What was it, a year ago you gave him the approvals? Or was
I
it,
don't think it's been a year, but I think it was this year.
yeah, I think it was like January, February of 2019.
I'd have to look at my notes, but it,
I mean, that's what I recall.
yeah.
And we had expected an immediate application that never materialized.
Wyman Road, that's gravel. Wilson Hill, Willard. That's another one we should consider with Hubbard and Collins, whether we pave. Those are, I think, the biggest three that are left for potential through roads and need paving.
So which ones were those three? Hubbard, Collins, Mosley,
And Willard.
Willard?
Speaking of Willard, did you ever find out what happened with the resident that cleared that berm out?
I have not, I gotta get back with the original person, and I wanna make sure she was an eyewitness to it. If she was, then I think Tim and I are gonna have a discussion. We'll take it from there.
Okay.
If I look at, we did Appleton, Kenning, Gibbs, and part of Ashby. I just wanna see,
And then we finished Timber Top.
okay, if we go to you could just use your little calculator there. 1.17. And 0.27. And Ken was 0.22. What was the other one? Timber Top?
Yeah, we did the
Finished
top
Timber
coat
Top.
on Timber Top and brought it past
Then we did part of Lower Ashby. How much does?
1.66.
1.66, I'm seeing, say you threw those other two, say we could probably do 2 miles of road, roughly. And you know, in my
Makes
view,
sense.
Hubbard Pond Road's the last road that should ever be paved. But if we were to ever consider doing it, like this dimension here would be 0.79, but that's going from where it is now
Mm-hmm.
to the Ridgetown line, which is not turning
On Pine,
on Pine.
right. You're gonna have to do some sort of turn on the Pine.
Because you're more familiar
Mm-hmm.
from Pine to a net.
You
Two
can't get
houses?
there.
No, I'm just
Oh,
saying, from where you would turn onto
Mhm.
Pine, if you kept going where it ends, the
Maybe.
last house, I didn't think there were many.
there's not many back there. I mean, there's more than two now. I don't know off the top of my head, maybe 4 or 5. You know, but it's not too much. But I would say, like, if you were gonna take the turn, if you were gonna do it to hit the most, I would say you would take the turn onto Pine past the condos. Cause I know that's an area that Peter is constantly fixing the road,
Well, that's why I'm saying, rather than
going,
going straight,
yeah.
turn,
Mm-hmm.
you know, for 3 or 4, because Pine appears to be 0.33 and the other one I said was what, 0.29, so
Yeah.
they're
Yeah.
roughly the same, but Pine is the through road and
Right. The
Hubbard
rest,
just,
you can't,
Yeah.
it's impassable once you get to
well,
a
it's
certain
the
point.
nice snowmobile trail,
It
but I
is,
mean, other
and
than
mutters,
that.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Uh,
don't we have a general policy of trying to do through roads first?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Hubbard,
Finish Lower Ashby.
It's called
would
Willard,
you write down Collin and Willard?
Collins and Willard. Those are the 3 you mentioned.
Let's see, Collins, I think is, I don't know that this goes. Without going through, which I'm saying, if, in my opinion, if we were gonna do Collins, we need to bring it through. And this right now is 0.63.
Okay.
And Willard would be 1.1. So what are we up to?
Sorry.
That gives you 1.73.
Willard is 1.1.
Wow, I didn't realize it was that low.
1.73, so that's 1.73 total.
Cause you said, well,
Something's wrong there, in my
Well,
mind at least.
okay, so what'd you say, Hubbard was, how much
Alright.
was left?
You
Sorry.
got Willard, right?
Got Willard,
Willard is
1.1, Collins is 0.63,
right. Hubbard, I didn't.
Hubbard through Pine,
Hubbard is, let's just say Hubbard
mm-hmm,
is 0.5
okay,
plus 0.33 for Pine.
okay. And do
And
we,
what happens in Rend on Pine Street? Is
It
that
goes back-
gravel?
it goes back to gravel, and then it goes to right by the Audubon camp, by Wildwood. It goes
How far?
from my house 2.4 miles.
From Pine,
From
where
Pine,
the town line is?
2
how
miles,
much more
maybe?
gravel,
from, I don't know from the town line, but
roughly? Is it
roughly,
halfway?
yeah, maybe halfway.
So they said another mile. of
Yeah, they're gonna,
gravel.
like I said, if you, so from my house to the paved part is, and the only reason I know this is I worked at the camp right there, and it was 2.4 miles from my door to the door of the camp. So, so if you go to Pine, it's probably 2 miles from Pine, so then if you take 0.33, yeah. So, yeah, you're talking about another, if you went all the way through Pine, yeah, you're talking about another mile at least of
gravel.
of gravel.
So what did those three add up to?
With all the numbers you gave, 2.56.
0.5 plus 0.33 plus 0.63 plus 1.1, 2.56. And then you said how much, what would it cost to do the top coat on Lower Ashby? Or how much space?
Yeah,
I mean,
see, to me, that ash, let me see if it's on here, how far it is.
I never realized Willard was that long
Yeah,
from Main Street to Ashby.
how come I don't even?
We've got 50 miles of paved roads here in town. Some of them are private, but there's a lot of roads in town.
Yeah, I just, it's not too often I take Willard the whole way,
Well, Ashby Road, from the Mass line to Mason Road, it's almost a mile. I would not have guessed that one.
Oh, that's a long trot.
Mass State line to Mason Road, 0.95.
take Willard off.
And do lower.
Yeah, I would.
Yeah, take
probably.
Willard off, do Lower Ashby, Hubbard, Pine, and Collins.
What the other one that's without counting the roads that we've accepted. This adds up to 53.82. That doesn't include Green Farm, High Range, Cascade, or is that even on here? F. That's not even on here. Fairbanks. So for 2020, road paving
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
would be what?
Finish Lower Ashby.
Yeah,
Hubbard and Pine. And Collins.
and Collins. How much,
I don't think we're gonna have,
how much of
how
Lower?
much did Hubbard and Collins add up to? Hubbard,
.83.
You know, .83 was Hubbard and Pine, and
Okay,
then
and
Collins was
.63.
.63.
and what are those add up, roughly?
0.83.
1.5?
1.46.
6, and then finish Lower Ashby.
Yeah, what was the run on Lower Ashby distance-wise?
0.95.
.95. Okay, yep, I got it, sorry.
Or 2.4, but they said we're only doing a top on that.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
a little less.
I'm pretty sure that's what that one is. That just has binder on it now.
Yeah.
But I gave the .95 to Mason Road. For
Mhm.
some reason, I'm thinking it turns and still goes back to town more.
Hmm.
Wherever we finished this year's
Mhm.
paving.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, that tallies almost to 2 miles, depending on how you look at it.
Should I put on here, consider Willard? Because one of the things we should remember is we're gonna be getting the state aid.
Mhm.
So rather than putting on another warrant article years down the road, if we could use that state aid, next year's state aid.
Oh
which
yeah,
we
the
need-
the surplus. Yeah.
Yes, yeah,
Yeah, I mean,
which
do
I
we
think
have-
is 70,000, 75, what did we get? Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, is that gonna be enough to tackle Willard? Or just a portion of it?
just ask Peter to measure these out,
Measure it out.
and run it up and see what the numbers come in
Yeah.
at.
Because it's either that or we could hit one of these roads that needs, you know,
Just the top
the
coats?
top, you know, like say you look at a malt house or a mountain view
Yeah.
that needs something that it doesn't need a full gut, but you know,
Well, they do, Malthouse and
both of them need it.
Willard, yeah, Mountain View and Malthouse
Both need to be chewed.
pulverized
Oh,
and
do they?
redone, yeah.
I figured Mountain View did because so much of it had fallen off, but I thought Malt House you could get away with. Like a,
Malthouse is bad, take a ride.
Oh, I have.
It's all alligated, it's all broken. And when you don't have the only place I would ever advocate to put a top is on a road that we've already,
But I didn't know if there was like I've seen like in other areas. Of course, it could be a deeper paving where they go through and they scrape it, ridge it really good, and then go back and top coat
Yeah.
over it.
that's when you have a good base, like on
Okay.
a highway
All right.
or a main road.
Yeah, I didn't know.
Yeah,
What, again, I didn't know what we'd accepted when we accepted those roads. You know.
I'm not sure what the base looks like under these things.
So, all right. Yeah, have them take a look at
Yep.
see what's available.
Bart reached out to the state. And I had communicated with him from the notes we had from last week, and he had replied that he wanted to make them the offer that the town would move the headstones and plate the graves, and he thought that would resolve the issue. And I told him if that resolved it, I'm sure we'd agree with that.
Absolutely.
Well, need needless to say, the attorney responded. We appreciate your email, but I do not think this is a viable solution. The issue is most of the identified graves are within the excavation area needed to replace the pipe. I think it would make sense to have a meeting with our clients to discuss this further. Jim Gallagher, Chief Engineer and Head of the Dam Bureau at DES, is CC'd on this email, is looking forward to attending a meeting with the group to discuss. Are you and your clients available on January 7th or 8th? If not, would you share dates that work?
It's Tuesday and Wednesday. I'm,
I'll make this-
depending on what time it is, I'm available, but,
Yeah,
I mean, if you guys can make it and I can't, that's,
yeah, I mean, I will
I'm
flex my
thinking
schedule.
we all need to be there, so
Take a
if
trip
you
to
wanna check
Concord.
your schedule.
like I said, 7th and 8th, but it's gotta be like after 2 o'clock.
Yeah, but 7th, we have our selectmen's meeting and.
Oh, Bart will be gone. I can tell you now, by 5 o'clock, he's not gonna wanna, by 6 o'clock.
Yeah, no, but I'm saying getting back here for our selectmen's meeting on the 7th. You know,
I mean,
after-
if we're going out to the cemetery is what he means.
Oh, is he talking about at the cemetery?
Don't know. I don't even know if
Yeah.
it's here.
I'm thinking we have to go up to Concord, and that's
Yeah.
a trot and a half.
Like I said, 7th or 8th after 2 o'clock, I can make it. So, I mean, see what times they're looking for, and I can do what I
So
can.
I'll forward to Bart.
As far as I know, I'm available either day. I'll make myself so. With a question, where?
Mhm.
And, you know, truthfully, I don't think we need to trot out to the cemetery. I think we just need to spread some plans on the table.
Well, the thing is if, too, if it's under snow cover, it's then not really going to help us either. I just think it's ridiculous that they think that the graves are in the excavation. I think even at the worst, they may be close. I don't think they're in the excavation, unless that would have to be the biggest freaking pipe to be in the excavation zone.
Well, my guess, it's probably a 12 or maybe an 18-inch. It wouldn't be any bigger than that.
Ollie, if you look on top of the filing cabinets in my office,
Mm-hmm.
Ollie is in the process of laying out,
Writing names and all that
Right.
goodness.
so he's been working on it all week, actually. He was here a few hours today trying to make some progress on it.
Figure out where the bodies are buried. Dear. Yeah,
Should I say be available to meet in New Ipswich?
Yeah, we'll see how that goes over, but yeah.
something about Mohammed in a mountain.
else? Sure.
Nope, I'm good.
Motion,
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.